O'Connell.
He did a pretty nice job given what happened with Cousins. They were alive to the last couple of weeks. You want to give O'Connell a little bit more room here to operate.
Yeah, Doug Pederson would have been out already, but he fired all the coaches.
Potential surprise, I'll just throw this out there. Tepper could hire a guy in Carolina and then just fire him immediately without even letting him coach a game.
Excellent point.
You can't rule that out with Tepper.
You can't rule anything.
Just want to make sure that's on the record.
No.
You're not going to get that take anywhere else.
Nope. I hope we rolled tape. Send it to the Sports Center, folks. We need to get that out there later on.
See what Schachter thinks about Tepper hiring someone and then immediately firing them.
Joe, it's the place to be for breaking news. Who's next on the chopping block tomorrow? Carlin versus Joe.
In celebration of the 10th anniversary, Disney's Frozen is coming to podcasting with a brand new story. The Frozen podcast features Anna.
I want to know about that.
Elsa.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Olaf.
I don't get it.
And Kristoff.
Are we going on another adventure?
Oh, no.
Of course. Experience Disney Frozen Forces of Nature, available now on your favorite podcast app.
Hey, Doc, nice office. Quick question. If you had to choose, would you give yourself a root canal or run payroll?
Run payroll, no question.
Seriously? Have you run payroll before?
Paying my team with Gusto couldn't be easier. Gusto gives me unlimited payroll runs, next-day direct deposits, and automatically files my taxes. Saves me time.
Wow, that's nice.
Over here, Doc. Can I run payroll too?
Choose payroll without the pain. Visit gusto.com/radio to sign up for free.
This is Brent Friends with Brent Martineau.
You don't even like your quarterback.
Kasey Kuhrts.
You don't even like your team.
And Aaron Schachter.
I don't even like myself, guys.
Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
Victim of a slip and fall? It takes one phone call to take back control of your life. Anajar and Levine will fight to get you the compensation you deserve. Call me, Mark Anajar, for a free consultation. 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
Main office, Jacksonville.
Every year in Florida, 200 children and teens die due to firearm-related injuries. Know the basics of firearm safety and talk to your children about the risks. Learn more at go.baptistjacks.com/gunsafety.
Attention men and women. If you would like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Mike from Bay Meadows.
I finally found the most experienced company who could restore my hair. Now I have hair where I had none before.
Results guaranteed. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Find out why you're losing your hair and how to grow your hair back. Call 904-777-IHRS for a limited time free hair and scalp examination.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
Thank you, IHRS.
Thanks, IHRS, for giving me my hair back.
Hurry, this free examination, normally $199, is yours for free and good only through Sunday. For your free examination, call IHRS at 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Call now.
Day 1, diagnosis day. The hardest day. The day you hear,
I'm sorry, this is a type of blood cancer.
But day 1 is just one day. At the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, we are here to help you move past day 1.
On day 45, I discovered an online community who shared great tips for in-treatment care.
On day 185, LLS helped me file my insurance claims properly.
We are here for you. We exist for everyone fighting leukemia, lymphoma, myeloma, and other types of blood cancer.
LLS provided immediate financial support that helped me keep my business going through treatment.
Day 5,840 and counting, and I'm still in remission.
To learn more and get help on day 1, day 2, day 983, or any day, please visit LLS.org or call 1-800-955-4572. That's LLS.org, 1-800-955-4572.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking NFL news, a shocker in Seattle. After 14 years and the only Super Bowl title in franchise history, Pete Carroll is out as Seahawks coach, expected to remain with the franchise in an advisory role. Seattle is the 7th NFL head coaching vacancy currently. The Bears are not making a head coaching change. Matt Eberflus will return for the 2024 season. Team did fire offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. What does Eberflus's return mean for the future of Chicago quarterback Justin Fields? ESPN Bears reporter Courtney Cronin.
To me, this likely signals that they're going to use that number 1 pick on a quarterback unless something drastic changes and they feel that they have somebody coming in who is dead set on working with Justin Fields. You wouldn't be wanting to hitch your wagon to a head coach that might be out of a job after 2024 and a quarterback that, also may be on the move.
Courtney Cronin on Greeny. NBA, the Clippers signed franchise star Kawhi Leonard to a 3-year, $153 million extension. The team does continue extension talks with fellow star Paul George. NHL, Blackhawks rookie superstar Connor Bedard out 6 to 8 weeks after surgery on a broken jaw.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Thursday. I'll tell you why this will be the Cowboys' last best chance to get to the Super Bowl. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him opening his own clothing store at the age of 18? 1 in 138,000. Excited to be a part of pop culture, he packed for the big city. The odds of finding someone to invest in his vision? 1 in 4.5 million. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. I encourage you to learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
ESPN 690 and Action Sports Shacks presents Brent and Friends.
Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
We're getting a little punchy around here, people. It's been a lot in a row.
I would love to punch you guys.
Ow! It really hit me.
Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, and Kasey Kuhrts. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
Midweek of a long week here in Jacksonville. Part of a long off season in Jacksonville. And we're just getting going. Can't believe it's only Wednesday.
Amen. Right there with you, buddy.
And if time goes slow sometimes, this week goes really slow. Getting through the mud. Where are we at? Where's the angry meter at in Jacksonville? I know not you necessarily, but where is it at in Jacksonville now?
You're just going to keep asking until everyone's like, I guess we're okay now.
Yeah, well, again, I'm past denial. What was the next stage?
Oh, you're looking for the stages of grief.
Grief. Acceptance?
Acceptance is like the last one, isn't it?
Sadness?
It goes, denial is the first stage.
Okay.
Anger. Bargaining.
Where do you think you are, Brent?
Depression. And then acceptance. I feel like Brent skipped a bunch of those.
I think so, acceptance. Too. Were you ever actually angry?
No, not really. I was angry a couple weeks ago, like before the Carolina game.
Oh.
I was like, I can't believe they've lost. After the Tampa game was like an angry game for me.
Okay.
I was like, I did not see that coming. And I do remember being almost like, they are really not going to blow this, are they? Like this is going to. And then Carolina got everybody excited again. And, man, here we are. So denial.
There's
anger.
There's another philosophy that says there are seven stages.
Well, let's go with 5. Okay.
Okay, 5. Bargaining is like, well, maybe if we didn't do this, then we would have done this.
Is that second or third?
That's the third.
I think I'm at third.
I think that's where you got to be because. Not that you're calling for anybody to be fired, but it's like, well, if they make these changes, then it'll be better.
Maybe.
Isn't that kind of bargaining in a backwards way?
It sounds like it. I'm not a.
Well,
I'm not a
here's where I've bargained
Yeah,
a bit. What's the next two, by the way, after bargain?
Depression. You just get sad all over again watching the playoffs, and then acceptance. It's like this is what it is. Jags are going to jag.
Yeah, I think I am in bargaining because I found myself today doing this a little bit. I've tried to let the fans have their
fun.
Yeah, just go.
They're not fun.
Let you go. I'm not going to sit here and try to talk you into anything.
Welcome
and
to Twitter.
I'm not going to do that today either.
Okay.
But
cool.
I also think I do have some distinctly different views than a lot of Twitter and Jags fans in their emotional state.
Tell us how you think they're dumb. Go ahead.
I didn't say that. Now, there are some dumb ones.
Okay.
All right. That's on Twitter, and I think those are the trolls.
Oh, trolls. All right. Because I saw some actual fans with some pretty lame ideas.
But I do also think, like I was talking to, I talked to Maurice Jones-Drew for a long time today. And it was interesting. As we were talking, you're going through players and stuff. And I can't sit here and tell you that I think the roster's bad. Like, I just don't.
Yeah.
I think they have a lot of good players on their football team.
Good talent.
And so I think that's my bargaining chip right now. It's like I made a case for the last couple of days that I can see why you would get rid of Trent Baalke. And I believe this all comes down to vision rather than what you've necessarily done. It's almost more about what you didn't do, what you didn't see, and can you get to where you want to go, right? That's really it's not really what he did. In terms of the roster construction, it's where they thought they had it good and they didn't. Like they miscalculated. That to me is vision. That's what their business is about. You've got to project the guy's going to do this or that or grow or develop. And some of those cases, it didn't happen. Some of their signings didn't play to where they thought they would play. And so, again, it's less about the roster because I think the roster has some pretty good players. I think the Jags could run back with a lot of this offense, and I'd feel pretty good about it if they could run for a yard or two. I genuinely think that. Now, I'm not advocating for them to exactly run back with this offense. I also think they made miscalculate. Like, did they think Travis Etienne was as good as he really is? Is that why they got Bigsby? Did they trust Etienne to be good? Or was it about the power run game? Well, guess what? Etienne's pretty damn good. Right? Did they not trust a guy like Josh Allen to be a very good player? Now, 17.5 sacks would have been a stretch, but to be a cornerstone piece that you would pay last year, so you don't have to pay him $27 million a year this year. Like, that's part of the job. That's part of the gig. We get to debate it. We get to Monday morning quarterback it. We get to 2020 hindsight it. That's not their job. That's what they're judged on. And so I think from that standpoint, I get some of the Baalke stuff. But if the bargaining for me is, I think the Jags still have some good players. I'll give you 6 players right now that I think are basically, I'll give you more than 6 really, but I'm going to give you 5 premium positions that I think the Jaguars, from a cornerstone standpoint, are in pretty good shape.
All right.
Quarterback.
Okay.
Left tackle.
Okay.
Right tackle. Pass rusher.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how I feel about the corners in terms of being those kind of players, so I'm not going to go there. I could also add in like an ETN. He's a good player for them, like a dynamic, good player. Christian Kirk, dynamic, good player. So we can start going down. But I'm taking those corners positions, like cornerstone positions, quarterback, left tackle, right tackle, and then pass rushers, and you're in a really good spot. Like, that's what you try to get. Now, you add corner in usually. So can you fill in the other pieces? I asked you guys this in the text today. Are you 3 moves away from being back where you need to be, want to be as a contender? Are you 5 moves away? Or are you like, holy crap, we got a lot of moves away?
Strictly roster moves or coaches moves, like hiring humans?
Roster moves.
I'm going to go roster moves here, Casey, because the bottom line is you have to have enough coaches to coach.
You got to hire some humans. I get that.
Right? Okay. So you got to hope they make the right calls. And I've always had this view on coaches. There are plenty of times in the last 2 years I thought Mike Caldwell was a very good coach. There are plenty of times in the last couple of years I was like, it might not be good enough. There's a reason why I can see they fired him. If I was him, I'd also have reason to believe why I should keep my job. But I think that's the way coaching works, but that's more based on players and performance. So I think this is a roster question, Kasey. 3, 5, or many more?
Well, you need 3 linemen. Do you not?
Well, you might need 2. I mean, if Sheriff had a nice year.
He did.
I think you need 3.
Okay.
So at minimum 3. And you probably, I'm going 5+.
Let me, okay. This is fine, by the way. I don't care where you go with it. It's okay, whatever you choose.
I just think 3 can't be the answer because I believe they need 3 linemen.
That's good. So you need, there's really 3 answers here. It's 3 or 5 moves, or is it 7 moves?
Oh, I don't
plus, or 6 plus.
To get to what end result?
To get to where you need to be. Like as a
where do you need to be?
Well, as a contender to the Super Bowl, it's not automatic you punch your ticket to the Super Bowl, but a team where we thought they were at 8-3 and a number 1 seed on the line, and they were like building towards something special. So you don't regress. So you don't stay the same.
I believe this team can go on a run to the playoffs, if not deep into the playoffs, with 5 moves.
I think 5 is where I'm at, too. 7's a lot.
7, if you're talking Super Bowl contender, I might get to 7.
Where are you going?
I'm going 3 offensive linemen, both guards in the center.
Amen.
I'm going corner.
Interesting.
Because Darius Williams might be gone. Trey Herndon is a question mark. What are you doing with him? Tyson Campbell's kind of a question mark. And I'm going receiver.
Interesting. See, I think I need all 5 of my people to weigh more than 315 pounds.
Wow. To Kasey, all right, go ahead.
No, you're good. I think these are debatable. This is what happened. I'm assuming this is what happens internally, right? This should be what happens internally. Like, we're playing this game. Later, we're going to play the shot 3 questions game. Because that's what should be happening internally. We're asking these questions because we talk to Jags fans. Jags fans are asking these questions because they're out of their freaking mind right now. But these questions get raised because you didn't perform to the level where you thought you would perform or you said you would perform. And so that's why you get these questions, and those are fair questions. But I think internally, when Kasey says 3, my head goes 2 different ways. Well, will they keep Sheriff? Veteran guy, because I think they do need more older guys than younger guys.
I actually think they keep him.
Will they try to rework the contract? Another question. I also think, do they label Walker Little as a left guard and put him there instead of 15 different positions for the guy? Or do they take Ezra Cleveland and say, this is our guy? So I guess you could count those as moves, but to me, those are already on the roster. Like, I think we all would agree, you need to upgrade center in some capacity. And I think if they upgraded to a better than average center, I think we'd feel better about any other position on the offensive line.
You'd certainly, if you upgraded right guard, left guard, or center individually, I think center is, you're right, the one we feel best about just because you need it. And also, it's one of the most important, if not the most important, lineman positions.
Absolutely. Underrated.
Yeah. And so if you get a good one, you're in good shape
for years.
They've had good ones. Well, not this staff, but the Jags, ironically, have had good centers. Out of all things that they haven't had good of, they've had good centers, so they know what it looks like. But to your point on Walker Little, if they are penciling him as the left guard, I don't know how you don't pick that apart because we think Walker Little's a good player. Do we know if he's a good left guard?
Yeah.
So I don't think you can just pencil that in and say, this is our left guard. We're not even going to pay any more attention to it.
I do think if Rauscher and Pederson and the team in general puts Walker at left guard, it's because they have faith he can play the position as long as he focuses on it. I think the issue there is that you haven't seen a full season from Cam Robinson in a while. And as much as I know you love Anton Harrison, if you're betting all the marbles on a guy who ranked 69th out of all tackles, and all tackles end at 84, I don't know what you're doing when you think you got a sure thing there. Like, it's still working itself out.
Yeah, and I think there's another level to this discussion. And this is going to be, again, this is outside the building versus inside the building. If they keep these decision makers, they trust their decision makers to make their decisions.
Agreed.
We don't necessarily. So my point is, right, like, I'm okay, just in this conversation, I'm better with Anton Harrison than you are, and PFF is. Like, he's my right tackle. I think he determined that this year. He stayed healthy. He played well enough. And I think he's going to continue to grow. That's what I've got to buy into. I actually think that was one of the better things they did in the last year is got this move with Anton Harrison. I think you have to tip your cap almost to Trent Baalke and the staff for doing that from my perspective. But I think the same thing goes for, I don't know if Walker Little's the right guy or Ezra Cleveland's the right guy, but inside the building, if that's what they choose, you've got to go with it, and they've got to be right.
And consistent. But
yeah, and so that's, like, they're going to make more than 3 or 5 or 6+ decisions, guys. My point is, how many, like, right decisions do you have to make to fix this team and get where you want to go? Because you're going to miss as well. You know, one of the reasons they did well last year is because they hit it in free agency pretty well, and the only guy where like, was Foley Fatukasi, right?
Correct.
They did pretty well in that class. They all contributed in some better than others, but in a pretty big time way. And Fatukasi didn't. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, 13 players in the draft, and you right now think you have 1.5 that worked out? Not good enough. That's not a good hit rate.
It's crazy, but true.
So that's, I guess, the point is, and when you answer that question to yourself, it's like, okay, they're not going to remake the whole roster, but they are going to be in a different roster than they were from last year to this year. I think everybody knows that's coming. There are going to be more different faces in different places than last year to this year. But the bottom line is you still got to hit on them. You got to hit on the ones you make. If you make 8 decisions and you hit on 5, you might be a Super Bowl team. If you make 8 decisions and you hit on 3, you might be 9-8 again.
I don't think this team has to go far, though. I just think they need to fix the offense so that you're never concerned about putting up less than 20 with this team and Trevor Lawrence under center. You need to get him protection. You need to somehow get the running game back to where you thought it would be. And you need to get one more reliable pass catcher for him. And that alone, with this year's defense, gets you into the playoffs. That alone. Now you add a cornerback you can count on, so not everyone is tossing for 300 yards on the Jaguars. That helps. You could also say the defensive interior would make a difference, but I'm saying to make a deep playoff run, you don't even need it. Now, to be a Super Bowl contender, you do need to fix the run defense where it failed at the end of the season.
I'm with you on that because, like it or not, if their defense is terrible, they're going to have the excuse of first-year coordinator, figuring this thing out. What are we doing? We're still trying continuity, right? Yeah. So that excuse, what you did not what they decided to do this year, destroy the defense after the season. They now have the pass next year. You need them to be good, don't get me wrong. But next year, if people are getting fired, there's nobody else to get fired but the offense. So I do agree with Aaron where you got to fix that. You got to figure that out because your defense might take a step back or likely to take a step back. And that's why when I say you need 3 offensive linemen, you can't play another football season where you can't run up the middle. You can't play another game where you can't run up the middle.
You can't.
So you need 3 big boys that move humans.
Or at least 2.
Listen, I mean,
I prefer 3, but at least 2.
At least 2.
If you go a third year in a row where you can't run a yard, I mean, everybody's going to lose their job.
Sure.
I mean,
we'll be doing coaching search.
To do that for 2 years in a row is an abomination. I mean, it's unbelievable.
But we accepted the thought and the reasoning, the rationale before this season. They wanted to develop it, let it see what it looked like. Got to let it cook. Got to let these guys play together. I think you could almost make the same argument on the defensive interior for next year. See a full season from Smoot and Harrison now that you've signed them and you've got the 2 guys on the outside playing to a good level. You didn't see that this year on the interior. You had injuries and games missed from both of those guys. Like, I would be okay pacifying myself with that on the defensive interior, but to the offensive line point, you can't just sit and watch.
You can't sit and watch it. We'll talk more about the defense in just a bit, but I think what you said, there's something else that correlates, in my opinion, with this conversation. And so the initial conversation here, if you're listening, is 3, 5, 6+ moves. Like, what is it that you got to make? You got to be right on 3 moves that get you right back where you want to be. 5 moves. 6+. The bottom line is it's very hard to hit on every move you make. It's a tough business in that respect. There are injuries and other things. Zay Jones worked last year, didn't work this year. Tyson Campbell looked like he was working, didn't work this year. Like, that happens. The misses are Foley Fatukasi didn't work at all. Luke Fortner hasn't worked at all. Like, those are misses right now. So those are the ones that you've got to, I mean, those are square in the middle of the football field, by the way, the 2 I just mentioned. And in sports, if you're not good up the middle, you're probably not good enough. That's in baseball. That's in football.
Yeah, if you're not good in the paint, you're not good enough.
It's probably
in basketball.
Yeah. I guess it's in hockey, too.
You need the goalie.
So
he's in the middle. Huh?
He is kind of important.
So if he's in the middle and not on the end, then we're kind of screwed there, too, because he should be back near the net. But
they do pull him from time. It'd be wild if you pulled the center from the team from time to time.
Center of the ice, though, huh? If you're going this way, but go on.
But anyway, you brought up I think this is where I'm at bargaining in this whole.
Okay.
That's where I go back to bargaining in the 5 stages of grief that we're in. I think you have to be careful not to make too many moves.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Like this isn't like this broken thing in Jacksonville. Like, that's not fair to say this is broken. This was a team that won 15 out of 20 regular season games over a stretch of the last 2 years. That's like the San Francisco 49ers, the Eagles. Like, they were right there. I don't know exactly why it went wrong. We all have our theories. That's not good enough. All those things are true. But you don't just you don't do a line shift here and just be like, get that out and bring this in. No, you've got to find the right pieces that you need to take out, insert, and however many that is, without being like, oh, yeah, we just got to do this whole thing over. I don't think that's where the Jags are.
I agree with you. Maybe this is semantics. I disagree in your phrasing because I do think it is broken. I don't think it's totaled. This isn't a wreck. You don't need to buy a new car.
Okay, well, maybe that's a good way to put it.
You just need to find a new part or two. You twist some screws, and suddenly you're running nice.
Yeah, this is bringing in your car for more than a tune-up, though.
Yes.
You've got some issues.
Yeah, like
it's
your axle's cracked or
bit,
something. Yeah,
but
CV joints broken.
You don't need a new car.
Right.
Still runs.
That's really my point. I mean,
it's just noisy.
You still have to bank. Here's the thing. You've got to bank on Doug Pederson's a good coach. You've got to bank on Trevor Lawrence is your franchise quarterback. You've got to bank on Etienne and Kirk are good players. You've got to bank on your tackles are good. You've got to bank that Travon Walker is going to keep growing and Josh Allen's going to have another good year, even if it's not 17.5. You've got to bank on Tyson Campbell being better than he was because you've seen it. Like, you've got to be able to bank on that stuff.
But do you trust your mechanics?
That was good.
This is the question.
That is
do we trust the guys working on the car?
Well, they didn't trust the defensive guys. So on the back end of the car, I guess they didn't.
I guess they didn't. A couple of those mechanics are gone.
And what Jacksonville wants is you to find a whole new shop.
Yeah, that's a little bit drastic.
And, well, I can see why. Is this shop going to make my car good in the long run? That's the question you ask about the owner of the shop. And I'm not talking about Shad Khan. The owner of the shop is actually Trent Baalke in this instance.
Fine. And just to stick with the analogy, we can keep doing this, but...
Is this sponsored by Nimnicht or what?
So...
Might as well throw them
I recently had a situation...
I'm not finding a new shop.
There we go.
I recently had a situation a couple of days ago where I had to call customer service. I was actually tweeting customer service in DMs. And even though I wasn't as mad as I was portraying, I was making a stink so I get served quickly and accurately. And I feel like sometimes the customer will run into the auto dealer and be like, I'm changing dealerships. And the dealer goes, all right, hold on, 20% off. We'll get on this right away. And so maybe that's a little bit of the sentiment. If you're making the analogy to the car and the mechanic and stuff, the fan base is like, burn it all down unless we kind of fix it the way we want it fixed.
Yeah, I hear you. I was trying to think today. I'm like, what will make the fan base like flip? Forget about the grief and acceptance, but now like happy again. Like, when is that going to happen? Stadium?
It's got to be before that.
Before that?
It's got to be before that. You don't think the fan base is getting happy?
How about Josh Allen?
Josh Allen will make. Well, there are a few people last year wanted him gone. Do they still want him gone?
Yeah, that'd be good. Not if he's gone, if they do it.
But I don't
playoffs next year will happen before the stadium. That'll make everyone happy.
Well, I mean, the stadium approval in the next few months, like April, could be the time for that.
Oh, we can't wait till April.
Well, we might have to.
We're going to be miserable till April?
Well, that's not too bad. I mean, Mets fans have been miserable for decades.
Why?
Jags fans,
it was so unnecessary.
That really was.
So unnecessary.
That was out of left Mets. I was like, why are we talking about the Mets?
Someone in the chat calling me Costanza. You're making fun of my favorite sports teams. I'm just going to go home. This is wild.
So, seriously, what's going to make Jags fans happy? What moment?
Bro called you Costanza. When the Texans lose will be the first one, probably.
That'll be a good one. I like that one. Maybe hiring a great defensive coordinator that everyone's behind. They just got turned down on
the Carolina guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
But, hiring a name that everyone recognizes and respects and is behind, I think makes the fan base happy.
Yeah, I was thinking of all these things. I was like, uniforms?
That does make the fan base happy.
No
a good alternate announcement? Come on, Case. Some random February alternate Jaguars jersey announcement. Light us all up.
Good, then go back to the mustard ones. Maybe a little juiced up teal deals for all the season ticket holders.
Teal deals. Dude, those books are thick.
And what I meant by that was like 3% back on what you paid season tickets this year.
Cool.
I'm like, write a little check, a little cash money.
Wonder if the draft will make anybody. The pick is too low, I think, to really be some impact.
But also,
unless the Jags trade up for the first time in ever and then go get somebody, that'd light everybody
That's
up.
actually a great call. A trade up.
Now, that's late April if you're willing to wait.
See, there you go, Case.
A
You
trade
gotta
up
wait.
in February. Didn't Carolina trade their first pick?
It's true. They took care of business early.
So we got new deal for Josh Allen, new defensive coordinator, stadium approval.
It's going to be a tough couple weeks, guys.
How about T. Higgins?
That'd make a lot of people happy.
Free agency, that'd be in March.
Ugh.
A lot of people. You wouldn't be happy on that?
I would.
Or you just don't want to wait till March.
Give me a uniform announcement.
We need something here in January. We need a late January mover. Move the needle.
Don't forget the new car.
That's right. That's a new paint job.
That's right. New paint job on the car.
But I know, I don't care about uniforms, but everybody gets excited about uniforms. So I was like, well, maybe they'll make some kind of announcement this year.
Actually, if they announced at any point next year they were going to wear the throwbacks, like for real.
Oh, is that the thing?
Like the original jersey?
That would actually, maybe that's you can't do that too soon. Because then you're just going to get met with
To me, there are certain announcements a team has that they just kind of keep in the pocket for bad days. But when you have a bad story about to come out, you go, hey, guys, look over here.
Yeah. The Yankees were brilliant at that. They're like the ultimate team to do that, by the way. That news drop at 5 o'clock on a Friday, right?
$5 tickets in July. It's like, what? Where did that come from?
It's amazing. I went from Josh Allen to uniforms to make the fans happy.
Just anything you can.
Whatever works.
Whatever it takes.
We will talk. What happened with the DC? Is he still an option? Will he be an option? They're on the move, the Jags. Does that mean they had somebody in mind when they fired Mike Caldwell? Is that one of the reasons? Maybe they moved fast there. We'll talk about it. We come back. Brent Friends on ESPN 690.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Jackets and coats today. It'll be a cool day, but at least a good deal of sun. The afternoon high in the upper 50s, dropping into the 30s. A chilly night tonight, and partly to mostly cloudy and cool tomorrow. Your Thursday high around 60 degrees. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish. Join me today beginning at 5 p.m. on CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds. Proud to offer a huge selection of both lab-grown and natural diamonds at the lowest prices guaranteed.
This year, resolve to get a whole new view on life with new windows and doors from American Window Products. Save $250 off any entry door and free installation on 6 or more windows in January when you call 731-2247 or visit AmericanWindowProducts.com.
We're dealing at Best Bet St. Augustine, the only card room and sports bar in St. Augustine, Florida. With nonstop action, poker games of all limits, exciting tournaments and table games, and a sports bar showing all the action, Best Bet St. Augustine has you covered. Don't miss our delicious dining options, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our always popular freshly made sushi. Best Bet St. Augustine is located at 800 Marketplace Drive off exit 311, where I-95 and State Road 207 meet. Learn more at bestbetjax.com.
Rich Jones here. If you're an investor who's interested in doing well while doing good, getting solid returns on your investments while making a positive impact, consider investment funds with DLP Capital. Here's Don Wenner, CEO of DLP Real Estate Capital, to tell you more.
With the current housing shortage in the U.S., investing in real estate, especially workforce housing, is one of the safest and most reliable places to invest. We invest in affordable housing for hardworking people and generate amazing returns for each of our investors.
To get your investor's guide and find out more, dial ** Invest from your cell phone or visit highyieldreturns.net.
When it comes to protecting your family and your property, there's one name in the home security industry that has stood the test of time: SafeTouch Security. For decades, SafeTouch has been and continues to be the leader in home security systems, offering the latest technology at the lowest price. SafeTouch offers 5 layers of defense for your home, giving you peace of mind whether you're home or not. The SafeTouch Security Yard sign lets everyone know this house is protected. Then there's the SafeTouch Perimeter Guard cameras, the two-way communicators, and the crash and smash technology, all controlled with an integrated app which can be used anywhere there's internet. With SafeTouch, you're never home alone and never away from home. These are state-of-the-art systems that you would expect to pay hundreds for. But right now, SafeTouch is offering their once-a-year deal, which can save you up to 50% on your security package. Call 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license LVA 4188.
Kansas. Another Fork in the Road 50th anniversary tour, celebrating 50 years of Kansas. With all your favorites and deep cuts too. Friday, January 12th, the Florida Theater. On sale now. Available online at floridatheater.com.
Bono's Pit Barbecue. Yeah, it's good, and you know it's good. It's more than food. It's about the flavor, the tradition. It's barbecue, and it's who they are at Bono's. Locally smoked since 1949. Almost 20 locations around Jacksonville. And on the menu, smokehouse stackers, sandwiches, salads, sides, and Bono's family feasts. Authentic, traditional Southern barbecue. Feel the flavor. Feel the community. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Hi, this is Earl Ron, president of New South Window. New South is having a one-day factory sale this Saturday only in our factory showroom. 40% off energy-efficient windows and patio doors. One day only, this Saturday from 9 till 4. Please visit us at newsouthwindow.com.
Hey, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks. Did you know you can watch our radio show? Yeah, video of a radio show. Just search ESPN 690 Jacks on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, or follow me on Twitter at Brent A.S. Jacks. Watch the show live weekdays from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. or listen on ESPN 690. Welcome back, Brent Friends on ESPN 690. The shocking move today, Pete Carroll.
Pete.
Vrabel yesterday, Carroll today. Two very good coaches let go, which shows you the dynamic of this business. And it's wild to me that it's so funny the outside looking in where everybody's like, I can't believe they let him go.
Variable.
Both, really.
Carroll's not so surprising to me.
He's older. He's like
72.
72. He's going to go to the front office, I guess.
Yeah,
so
he's
that
staying
seems
with
a
the
little
team.
bit more amicable.
So he
It's
didn't
more
really
like
get fired.
It's like a graduation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think
they were like,
it's
hey.
the way the national guys were reporting on it made it seem like
he was pushed. Yeah.
He was pushed to that role, you know?
And again, at 72, you sign him to 3 years. He's going to be like 75 when, it just seems like it's hard to relate to.
I kind of get it. And you know what? Credit to Pete Carroll. He could have jumped when it looked like it was bad. And then he turned it around with Geno Smith and made him very competitive.
Nah, he made the ultimate point. I don't need Russ.
Yeah.
And since then, now I get it. Seattle didn't make the playoffs this year. I get it. But they went to the playoffs without Russ. Denver didn't do that. And he still is it. Well, he was still in it to the point where all the stuff you gave up for Russ, then you benched him. So, he made the ultimate final point. I won the Super Bowl with this guy, and since he left, he's been nothing.
Hall of Famer, right?
Look at me. Russ?
No.
Pete Carroll?
Yeah.
Feels
like
it. Brent?
You say it, and I say yes.
How many wins?
I don't know, though.
Total
I say
291. 170 in 291 games. He's 170 and 120 with a tie.
That's pretty good.
One Super Bowl.
Now, one Super Bowl.
One NFC championship.
To me, he's...
I'm sorry, 2 NFC championships, I guess.
Yeah, because he should have 2 Super Bowls if they just run the ball. To me, he feels like a foot... This is going to sound really stupid, I understand. But between the college football and the NFL, he feels like a football Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I get you.
But I understand those things are separate. So maybe that's what makes me say it, but it feels like it. If he runs the ball there, or if they run the ball, he's definitely a super Hall of Famer because you have 2 Super Bowls.
You know what's crazy? I saw the play recently. I don't know if it was on Twitter or I saw it on TV. Before the setup of all that was the crazy catch. Was it Kuhrts that caught that ball that bounced and landed in his lap at the 7-yard line?
I don't even remember that play.
Totally forget about it. Go check it out. But it's you totally forget about that play that set up that sequence to give them a shot because it was like a desperation throw. It bounced off a couple people, and I think it was Kuhrts, I want to say. He's sitting there on the sideline, and it just falls into his hands. It was such a lucky play before the Patriots made the big play at the end. And I had totally forgotten about that play until I saw it. I mean, it was just last week or something on social media.
Pete Carroll should be in the Hall of Fame just alone for managing personalities like Russell Wilson and the Beast simultaneously.
Yeah, and Richard Sherman.
And Richard Sherman.
See,
holy smokes.
I would say he belongs, to me, he says Hall of Famer, and I think Kasey's onto something. It feels more football-wise. He's such a big name in the sport. But if you look at his accomplishments in the NFL, yeah, it's the Super Bowl. By the way, 170 and 120 is really good. Like, to me, 50 games over 500 in the NFL, that is very, very good.
He was even better in Seattle.
Most great coaches are still right around, like, I shouldn't say right around, but it's not like college where it's like 250 and 50.
Yeah.
You know?
I totally forgot about this play. This was unbelievable. It was curse.
And what, it was down like to the 7-yard line or something,
No,
right?
it was down to the 3. The next play was the throw.
Oh, the next play was a throw. Okay.
Did you just watch this? Or did you pull this from your brain?
No, I swear I just saw it like last week or something. But I had totally forgotten that that play had happened in that Super Bowl, right before that
happened,
play.
yeah.
I mean, Patriots actually got very unlucky on that play. Seattle got extremely lucky to be in that spot because I think there was under a minute to go when that ball was
102.
Caught. Okay, right around there.
It hit both of his feet.
Is that what happened? He kicked it up in the air?
His feet were in midair. They hit both of his feet, and then he caught the ball.
Crazy. Here's what I would say about Carroll, though. As much as the Super Bowl and the record's nice and it kind of feels like the football guy that Kasey's talking about, he did build that Seattle Legion of Boom. Like one of the most elite defenses we've seen really in NFL history that carried them for this couple-year stretch. Almost looked like it was to be a dynasty with Russell Wilson and everybody else. But I would say this as well when we're talking about Carroll. If Carroll with that resume is a Hall of Famer, and we already feel this way, but Tom Coughlin's a slam dunker.
Yeah, it's fair.
Like, so don't even hesitate at Tom Coughlin if Pete Carroll's a Hall of Famer in your mind, in my opinion. Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, Kasey Kuhrts, talking about the Jags, of course, and from grief to fixes to how do you fix it, how quick do you fix it. And part of this is hiring a defensive coordinator. And Carolina said, you can't have our guy.
They didn't even want their guy.
It's pretty. They didn't name him the interim coach.
No. And he was a head coaching candidate last cycle.
I'm a little surprised that I don't remember this, but I'm surprised that I guess if they're under contract, they're under contract. But it feels that if your coaching staff is let go, you shouldn't be able to protect the rest of them. But you're under contract, so I guess you do. I think that actually happened one of the years with Schott. I think he didn't let the assistants go anywhere until the new coach came in.
Well, it's just that might be what it is because you're sitting here without a GM either. They fired the GM.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, it's smart by Carolina. If this guy's a stud.
By Tepper. He's the only guy there to make the decision.
Yeah, but that's smart. Like, bring my guys in and see if they want them before somebody else takes them.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Very highly regarded defensive coordinator.
There's a bunch. There's some ties. Like Leslie Frazier has ties to the Eagles and Pederson, and if you go through the tree, to
another
the
great
Chiefs.
name, by the way.
Yeah.
Head coaching material.
Here's what I think is going to happen at defensive coordinator for the Jags. The top of the priority list. And of course, it's going to be good coach and scheme and all this stuff. But I don't know which way they're going with scheme. I think what they're doing is they will not have a first-year guy. So there are some folks out there that, like, I know this guy's name because I covered him in Albany, New York, and he's made his way through very nicely in the NFL ranks, and that's Anthony Weaver out of Baltimore. Played for Baltimore for a long time. I think he was in Houston as a coach, and now I think he's a D-line coach with the Ravens. And his name's being floated on a lot of DC jobs, and some even head coaching jobs. And I just don't think they're going to go that path in this example because it doesn't have experience. They just did that with Caldwell. I think one of the things that with Doug Pederson is I think he wants to hire somebody to run the defense, and I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to have to do anything to it. I think he had to step into the fold and insert his opinion maybe too many times. I don't know how many times, but too many times in the last couple of years. And some of that was, hey, this Mike Caldwell's just learning on the job a little bit. It's a different animal for anybody. And I still don't think Mike Caldwell's terrible at it, but I think that frustrated Pederson that he couldn't necessarily trust it to just be off on its own thing so I can go worry about the offense. He's an offensive guy. If you even listen to news conferences for Doug, I think you hear it, you're like, the way he references the defense, it's like he doesn't even, like he might pop into a meeting for 5 minutes, but that's it. But there were a couple of times, like after Detroit last year or maybe even a few weeks ago here this season, where he had to kind of hey, what if we try this, or should we be doing this? I think there was a little more of those conversations. Now, your interpretation of that might be, shouldn't that be more conversations all the time? He's the head coach. Maybe, but I think when you're an offensive guy, you're an offensive guy, and I think he wants to hire somebody that he feels, I can just let you do your thing.
Yeah.
Leslie Frazier, head coaching kind of guy, experienced guy.
Sure.
Trust you. You've done it well. There you go. Have your defense. Get the job done. I'll see you in the meeting room.
And by the way, Frazier kind of matches Pederson's personality a little bit.
I think so. Yeah, you said that. That's an interesting comment. Did you say that in commercial?
In commercial, yeah.
Okay. You had mentioned like Wink Martindale.
Yeah, yesterday I brought him up just because he had resigned. We find out today he resigned after he found out his staff was fired and he went in and cursed out Coach Dable and then just threw his resignation
Pretty
on
wild
the table.
story, right?
Nice. Yeah. But then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I can't see Wink Martindale being all crazed and incensed a la Greg Williams on the coaching staff with Doug Pederson. Like, it's such an even-keeled, low-key guy leading the team in Pederson. All the leaders on the team, Trev, Christian Kirk, Foye, Lewican, Josh Allen, all those guys are very even-keeled, very low-key, like serious football players, but you're never going to see them shouting and screaming at each other's face, at least publicly. And then to bring in a guy who does that doesn't seem like it would mesh well. So, to the point, Leslie Frazier seems like it would be a better fit than a guy like Wink Martindale.
Yeah, and I think, Kasey, do you have anybody in mind? Like, I got to be honest with you guys. I'm not sitting here and like, oh, man, you got to have this as a defensive coordinator. I don't know. Like, people are like, Mike Vrabel. Sure, makes a lot of sense. Get Mike Vrabel. But it's not happening. He's getting a head coaching job, I would think. If he's available, he's not getting the head coaching job, throw the Brinks truck at him. I'm here for it.
There's no
but
way
it ain't
he's
happening.
a defensive coordinator.
I just think it's a silly even thought because I think everybody thinks he's one of the top 2 or 3 coaches available.
I mean, he was
out there.
He was one of the top coaches while employed, even though he's on a bad team.
So I don't think it's there. I see the Fraziers of the world. I always like the new blood and up-and-coming guys, but I just told you, I don't think that's going to happen here. I think you're going to get an experienced DC so Doug can say, you do that, we're doing this.
I do think from a personnel point, there's a little bit of fortunate nature happening here because if you ask Caldwell, he would have said they run a 3-4-4-3 hybrid.
Yeah, everybody runs a hybrid.
They really run like a 5-2 on this team, to be honest with you. But like you do have some versatility with the guys. You have Travon and Josh, Foye, Devin Lloyd. These guys can play a few different roles in those defenses.
Well, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. Kasey, sorry, I teed you up and then stole your time. Do you have anybody in mind?
Not really. I agree with the idea that I know you just said that you're interested in younger guy, but I'm with or whoever said it in terms of older guy to run it, so then Doug can just do his thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just said I'm intrigued all the time by younger guy, but not in this instance. I don't think Doug will be. I don't think it makes sense. I don't want to take a flyer and say, hey, this guy might be good at it. I think Caldwell earned the opportunity. I also think he wasn't terrible at it. I really don't. I don't know how you can say he was terrible. I just think it wasn't perfect or good enough for Doug. And at the end of the day, the last 6 games certainly weren't good enough. So I think you find a guy that Doug indicated this on Monday in his news conference. He wants to find a guy that's done this before and has the ability. Watch for this. If you see somebody get labeled the ability to change on a dime, right? To change in a game, to be able to make adjustments as it goes. He really pulled that out of that one of those sound bites in his news conference. Now, he was talking about the whole team, but when he fired Mike Caldwell hours later, I was like, he was talking about the defense. Like, it came up in a conversation even with Trevor mentioned. I don't think it was an example using Trevor, almost pointed that he didn't want to use a defensive example, in my opinion, because he basically was like, we're not making adjustments quick enough. We can't just say, hey, we'll fix that tomorrow. We'll fix that in a meeting. No, fix it right now.
Yeah.
See it right now in live action to be able to fix it. And that goes back to, I think, the biggest frustration for Doug. There's 2 major frustrations the last 6 weeks. Cincinnati game, Tampa game. And to a degree, the Titans game, but more so those 2 games, no answers for basically the same style of offense. Never found an answer. It's very unique for a defense to not make adjustments along the way and not find some kind of answer. They never had an answer for Jake Browning and Cincinnati. And then you take the Tennessee game, and I really think Doug's – I'm put words in his mouth here. I think he's probably pissed that their defense ruined the game plan in the second quarter, first half of that game. And I still believe that. I believe they ruined the game plan because you wanted to play from ahead. You thought you were going to keep it in the teens. It made no sense that Derrick Henry hadn't run all year against anybody like that, but they were going to run like against you when your tenant is stopped the run. He had done nothing against you 2 months ago, and it just cost them kind of what they wanted to do. I'm speaking from like Doug's mind.
Yeah.
So the blame is like, he screwed up the game. Their defense screwed up the game plan. I'm putting that on you. But I also think Cincinnati and Tampa really stick out to him for no adjustments or not enough good adjustments.
Like the Browns were facing this last year, 2 years ago. Ricky B makes the comment in the chat. He's not wrong. They went out and got Jim Schwartz, a proven commodity on the defense, not some new up-and-comer, not some experimental stylistic guy, just a guy coaches defense, excellent. And look what happened.
Yeah. I think actually this team will get a jolt by whoever they hire. Because I think when you do some new juice, I think it'll be very beneficial. Instead of stale, let's try it again. Let's see. Now, you might get that on the offensive end because of the way it's going or the way the continuity is happening. But I think this might provide a little juice to the situation. And I know, Kasey, you said excuse because it's a new guy. See, I don't think it will come with excuse because you're going to get a veteran guy. You got the players.
Yeah.
You're giving them no time, no games during the season to get it together?
That's fine. But, I mean, you got to see progress. We saw regression this year.
Yeah, but I don't think there'll be expectation for them to be
top 5.
I guess there's no scapegoat here.
Yeah.
Your defense is what it is. You're not firing that guy next year.
Well,
so
you are if you fire everybody. But to your point, you already did defense this year. Next year,
it's not happening again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the heat's on the offense again.
Yes.
This is still an offensive football team. Remember that. Mm-hmm. Doug thinks this team can score 28, 30 points and just stop them a couple of times. It didn't happen. So the heat's still on the offense. No doubt about it. We'll be back. Brent Friends on ESPN 690.
Brent and Friends is sponsored by Best Bet, now open in St. Augustine.
From selling out of the back of a car to one of the biggest outfitters in the Southeast, Baker Sports is quite the story. And on a daily basis, they are helping you write your story with a high school name or sports team across a uniform and so much more. And now it's a one-stop shop with Baker Sports, carrying Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour. They already make you look good, and now they can help you look better than ever. Baker Sports, custom sports apparel since 1997. Shop with the hometown team. And it's easy to do at bakersport.com.
Advisory services through Talon Private Wealth and SEC registered investment advisor. Lord license D056341.
On Guarding Your Nest Egg Radio, Mike Lester, founder of Talon Wealth, focuses on a key question many share. Do I have enough to retire?
For starters, we'll do the math for you. But to me, it's really more about lifestyle. I want to find out what's important to you. I want to find out what your expenses are. And then I'm going to give you a realistic expectation moving forward of how your money needs to be invested to accomplish your goals in retirement.
Get to know Mike at guardingyournestegg.com. And we're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for the... And there they go. Almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car. And there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff. Like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the
right seat. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Save money on your energy bills and beautify your home with Renewal by Andersen. Specializing in energy-efficient, customized windows and doors, Renewal by Andersen Fibrex product is chic, tough, easy to maintain, and twice as strong as vinyl. Named 2023's most energy-efficient window, Renewal by Andersen, official partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Go to rbafla.com.
Renewal by Andersen. We love our new windows.
License number CGC 1527613.
We're dealing at Best Bet St. Augustine, the only card room and sports bar in St. Augustine, Florida. With nonstop action, poker games of all limits, exciting tournaments and table games, and a sports bar showing all the action, Best Bet St. Augustine has you covered. Don't miss our delicious dining options, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our always popular freshly made sushi. Best Bet St. Augustine is located at 800 Marketplace Drive off exit 311, where I-95 and State Road 207 meet. Learn more at bestbetjacks.com.
Introducing Pelicano by Redboat Tours. Get ready for the ultimate tour experience. Smooth, quiet, and oh so comfortable. Our brand new custom-built boat is fast, spacious, and handicap accessible. And here's the kicker, it comes with a killer DS18 sound system and a dance floor. Pelicano is perfect for weddings, office parties, neighborhood gatherings, family reunions, and kids' birthday parties. Don't miss out. Visit redboattours.com to book your unforgettable sightseeing tour aboard Pelicano today. Redboat Tours, where every journey is a celebration.
This year, I resolved to have a whole new view in life.
Nice. So what are we talking? New attitude? Maybe new glasses?
Nope. New windows and doors from American Window Products.
New view. I see what you did there.
They're Jacksonville's oldest family-owned replacement window and door company. Great prices, selection, professional installation. They look great too. And you can save $250 off any entry door and free installation on 6 or more windows in January when you call 731-2247 or visit AmericanWindowProducts.com.
Thanks. I'll give them a look.
Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe. You can watch us on CBS 47 and Fox 30. You can listen right here on ESPN 690. And you can subscribe to our YouTube and podcast, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe. All right, got the phone calls lined up, so let's get to it. South Beach, Gary, go ahead.
Hey, guys, and go Miami Dolphins.
Negative 10 degrees for the Finns. Good luck.
Hey, we're in it, buddy. That's more than the Jags can say.
I know.
Again,
Tyreek Hill's hand's going to freeze on Sunday?
Hamstrings.
No, you put those big wetsuits on. You get the gloves. Believe me, the equipment man will be fine. They'll do the job. Tyreek's going to go crazy and just destroy Kansas City. But getting to Jacksonville, once again, they're trying to close a wound that needs 20 stitches with a big Band-Aid. Instead of addressing the problem, keeping Baalke and keeping Press Taylor, who was just awful, and as I mentioned it before, a 4-game stretch where they scored a grand total of 31 points. And Doug being an offensive coach, when you can't get the one side of the ball that you're supposed to be a coach of, that's a big indictment, guys. And I told you before, Brent, and you guys don't want to listen. They don't. People in the NFL don't trust Trent Baalke. He's not likable. They don't want to work with him. You're not going to get a competent defensive coordinator to come in and fix the problem because Trent Baalke is the problem. And I'll hang up and listen, guys.
I guess we should stop trying at that point then.
Yeah, listen, maybe he is. I don't know if he's – I say it this way. I don't know if he's as much the problem is he a big enough solution.
You think he's a decent enough general manager, but is he the kind of general manager that brings home a Super Bowl?
That's really where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Because I just can't ignore, this team is not awful. This team is just made the playoffs. They were 8-3. They were there. Then they weren't good enough. And I think actually they were good enough to be in the playoffs this year. They didn't get there. I think they were good enough to, when you get in the playoffs, I thought they were going to beat Cleveland next week. I couldn't wait to match up against Flacco. I thought they were going to beat him. Now, did I think they were going to the Super Bowl? Absolutely not. So, again, this is more about vision, and your vision went wrong the way you did it. And secondly, can you get me where I need to go? 3 years ago, that wasn't the question. It was, can you flip the damn thing around? Right? Well, he and Doug Pederson did that. They flipped it. They went from first overall pick to playoffs and then embarrassing loss to miss the playoffs.
And playoffs and almost playoffs.
But I think the next question is, can you get there?
You talk about splash plays a lot. Sometimes it's, hey, what are the splash plays Trevor's made? Or can you remember a signature splash play from the season? As a general manager, Baalke's had a few.
He has.
Ridley was a splash play.
He was.
I think the double trade down to end up getting your starting right tackle and getting one of those picks that you use on Johnson, that was kind of a splash play.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know if you call Christian Kirk and Zay Jones signing splash plays because at the time they were basically panned by everybody, but it ended up being value signings for sure.
Those are good signings.
Good signings. There are a few of those.
Technically, if you want to go this far, Trevor Lawrence was a splash.
Yeah,
But it
not
was a
going to go
given,
there.
though.
But and actually, I don't know if you can go there on a lot of that because we don't know how much Urban did, and Urban seemed to identify whether ETN was not. There's no way that was a Baalke pick.
Sure.
Right, and it was a good pick. So I agree with you. I think again that's my point of earlier in the show, which I know we're dangerous territory right now in the grief stages, but I just think this roster is not disgustingly bad. We've seen disgustingly bad rosters. I don't even think it's close to that. I actually think it's pretty good. Is it good enough is the question. Like, you got to flip the question from negative to almost positive. Like, can you win with Baalke? Well, I think they prove they can win a little bit with Baalke. Can they win it all with Baalke? That's the question. Let's get Daniel on before we hit the top of the hour. Daniel, what's happening? Haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah, I've been quite busy. But great to. I've been listening every day. I'm in the chat every now and then.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, right.
Well, sometimes I gotta listen to the replay, but I'm one of those weirdos on YouTube.
Fair enough.
But hey, a couple things. One, on the Baalke thing, man, it is like listening to someone on a yo-yo. With everybody talking about Baalke. A few weeks ago, he was playing chess when everybody else was playing checkers, and the Ridley thing was great. Well, Ridley, there were so many plays this year that you watched him when he was on just a straight out that he figured he was just a decoy, and you would watch after about 15 yards, he'd just ease up. And there were at least twice that Trevor went ahead and threw to the spot he thought he was going to be, but Ridley was nowhere near there because he had let up on the play instead of putting 100% in the whole time. And we can't have that. If you're the guy that's got to stretch, you need to stretch. You can't just, all of a sudden show, this is going to be a run, because then the rest of the defense knows what in the world to do. And it's like, speaking of defense, as soon as the game started and the first play of the second half was the same thing as the beginning of the first quarter, you watch the Jags on defense, and they're all worried about Henry, but we all know Henry is huge, and he busts through the line. So you need your linebackers to be where they belong, and you need your safeties to be where they belong. Instead, they had everybody crowd the line, and so all he had to do was bust through the first zone, and boom, he's gone. Instead of having that second and third wave of, bodies that he'd have to go through, he just had to go through one. And then, you cannot play Henry that way, and we've played him enough times where we should have known that, And with Caldwell's almost seemed like one of those guys that he had his playbook that he thought, these are the plays I want to play. But Belichick is one of the best quarterback or best coaches ever, and he didn't just say, okay, well, here's the playbook. This is what we're going to do. No, he looked at his players and said, this is the playbook. Now I'm going to tailor it to these players. And what everybody keeps talking about, throwing Travon in the middle. They did that a couple weeks ago, and it worked. Him and Josh both. It was beautiful. So let's do that. Not just one game out of the year, And as far as the not making the playoffs, yes, I am upset about that. That really, really sucked, us being 8-3 and melting down and everything. But if we go back 2 years and we think about when Doug came in, that first year, everybody's like, you know what? If we go 6-10, that's what I expect, and that's going to be a great year. And then the next year, if we can hit 500 or better, then that is going to be a success. But then the first year, he messed it all up.
Yeah, I did. Raised expectations.
Yeah, we go to the playoffs, and then everybody's like, oh, well, wait a minute. No, 9-8 and fighting in the last game of the year to be able to make it to the playoffs is where we thought we were going to be 2 years ago, from now.
Daniel, we got to hit the top of the hour. Appreciate it. Good to hear from you. I will add one thing to that, though. If you won the division at 10-7, then you were probably where you should have been under what you just said. I would buy it more. 9-8, missing the playoffs after being 8-3. I don't care where you are in your development. When you're 8-3 and you lose 5 out of 6, doesn't matter. Like, that gets a little bit thrown out the window. So 10-7, make the playoffs. I think you're right on. 9-8, missing the playoffs is a differentiator there. We'll be back 4 o'clock hour and talk more about what Daniel brought up, especially with Travon Walker. I want to get into, and Calvin Ridley. It's on the way.
Kansas. Another Fork in the Road 50th Anniversary Tour, celebrating 50 years of Kansas. With all your favorites and deep cuts too. Friday, January 12th, the Florida Theater. On sale now. Available online at floridatheater.com.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
This is Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Quite a turn of events in Seattle. Pete Carroll, who said a few days ago he wanted to continue coaching, is out as Seahawks coach after 14 years and the franchise's lone Super Bowl championship. ESPN NFL analyst Andrew Hawkins.
I do think this is the right move. He's been there for a very long time. Yes, he's had success, and yes, they had a winning season, but now is the time for a reset, because when you have a coach who's been there for as long as Pete Carroll has, and he's had his own versions of reset with players, with staff, with quarterbacks, you understand, okay, we've probably milked this for all it's worth.
Carroll's expected to stay with the Seahawks in an advisory role. Seattle's expected to be interested in Cowboys defensive coordinator and former Seahawks DC Dan Quinn. Bears coach Matt Eberflus expected to return for the 2024 season. Team did, though, fire offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. Now the Bears, with the top overall pick in the upcoming draft, need to make a decision on the future of quarterback Justin Fields. NBA, the Clippers signed franchise star Kawhi Leonard to a 3-year, $153 million extension. The team continues extension talks with fellow star Paul George.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Thursday. I'll tell you why this will be the Cowboys' last best chance to get to the Super Bowl. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Oh, not this song again.
Hello, Sarah. Real quick, if you had to choose, would you listen to elevator music all day or deal with payroll compliance?
Oh, payroll compliance for sure.
Wait, really?
Staying compliant is so much easier with Gusto. Gusto automatically calculates my taxes and files with all the right agencies for me.
That actually sounds great.
Hold up. Can Gusto help my small business with compliance too?
Of course they can.
Choose payroll compliance without the ups and downs. Visit gusto.com/radio to sign up for free.
In celebration of the 10th anniversary, Disney's Frozen is coming to podcasting with a brand new story. The Frozen podcast features Anna.
I want to know about that.
Elsa.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Olaf.
I don't get it.
And Kristoff.
Are we going on another adventure?
Oh no. Of course. Experience Disney Frozen Forces of Nature, available now on your favorite podcast app.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-385-9302 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-385-9302. That's 800-385-9302. What do you have to lose? Call 800-385-9302. Again, 800-385-9302.
ESPN 690 and Action Sports Shacks presents Brent and Friends.
Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
We're getting a little punchy around here, people. It's been a lot in a row.
I would love to punch you guys.
Ow! Ow! It really hit me. Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, and Kasey Kuhrts. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
Quick commercial break. We just keep talking, that's why. Is Steven still on?
That is correct
All
as
right,
well.
let's get Steven on, and then we'll answer some of these questions about Calvin and Travon and the defense a little bit more. A lot to still get into. Steven, what's happening?
Hey, first of all, you stole that topic from me. I messaged you yesterday about that.
Which one is that?
DC.
Who's the thief?
About which one?
Brent?
Which topic?
Yeah.
Oh, he's stealing from the
About
listeners.
wanting a veteran DC. I messaged you yesterday on Twitter.
Oh.
How dare you, Brent?
Well, I would have never come up with that without your help.
Yeah, but he's got to call you out to get the credit.
Grief.
Okay. You go. It's your
And the stages of grief, I already surpassed all of it. I'm just at meh. I mean, I live in a household full of women. I'm already emotionally dead on the inside.
Congrats, man. Good call.
But, no, I agree. You know, he wants a veteran DC to come out there and coach his team because he doesn't want to have to worry about the defense. He just wants to focus on Trevor and get him back to where he needs to be. And what else was it I was saying? But, yeah, with I also agree with Kasey about wanting big guys. I have a feeling they're not going to draft big guys just because he wants athletic linemen that can move and run around instead of getting, a couple big dudes that can push people around. But, I think as long as we get some interior guys on both sides of the ball that can do something, I think we'll be in good shape. I think we'll be okay. Mind you, we got to find out about scheme and everything. I like the guy from Atlanta. He did pretty good with that defense. Arthur Smith just sucked. So,
Thanks, Steven.
yeah,
Appreciate
it. I'm pretty vocal about it.
I appreciate it, and I'll try not to steal any more of your thoughts without giving you credit.
Yeah, Bert.
He's talking about Ryan Nielsen.
Steve, he just said, as far as grief stage goes, I live with a house full of women, so I'm emotionally dead already.
Inside. Yep. That was wild.
That was pretty wild. I'm glad he agrees on the veteran stuff. You brought who was it? Daniel. Now he just had three calls. Daniel brought up Belichick.
Yeah,
and it is interesting. Belichick has always done it. Belichick is kind of like a chameleon on defense week to week. Like you really don't. They sure have principles that they do, but every week they'll dial up something different. And we've had that over the years, whether Clay or Rasheen or others on to talk about that. And I think there's something to it. Now, I'm not saying you have to be that and do that all the time, but I think what it speaks to is this old adage of players, not plays. And you do wonder if the Jags did enough of that, maybe on the offensive side, we'll get to that in a minute, but especially on the defensive side. And that comes back to these games like Cincinnati and Tampa. I felt like they were trying to do what they do instead of trying to do what would work to spoil the plan of the opposing teams. I wonder if that's a healthy balance. You got to do what you do well, but don't you have to kind of combat what the other team's doing well?
Yeah, I'm sure every team attempts to do that, some better than others. You don't think the Jags try to do that?
I'm trying to think of those two games in particular where they didn't have any answers. They just didn't. I mean, the only reason that the Tampa stopped scoring pretty much was because they didn't need to score anymore. Like, that was it. I mean, the game
we've
was
done it, guys.
It was 30-0, right?
Time to rest.
I think did they get Baker Mayfield out of there? They might have. I don't even remember. But they never, like, you knew what Browning was going to do. Like, I would almost dare those guys to run the football more rather than short pass more. But your tenet of defense is stopping the run, getting third down long. So I understand getting third down long. But if they're just short passing you to death and not trying to run the football, well, you're never in third and long anyway. It's 3rd and 2 all the time because of the short passing game.
Yeah.
And by the way, they sprinkled in the run pretty well in both those instances too, especially Cincinnati, where you didn't tackle or gap integrity well or whatever the rest
another team that didn't really run great all year until they got to the Jaguars.
So I guess the point is, if you're going to do what you do, you better damn be sure to do it.
At an excellent level.
At a very high level. Jags kind of stopped doing that. And now they did, as brought up to me today, good game plan against Baltimore until the fourth quarter where the dam broke. But they had Baltimore in a pretty good spot from a defensive standpoint. You know, that's the craziest thing. Let's take Carolina out because they didn't score a point in the last 2 weeks of the season.
They suck, yeah.
And I'll give the Jags credit for doing the job they needed to do in that situation, by the way, which they did. And 124 yards is something, considering Carolina had scored 30 points the week before. But if you take the last 6 weeks of the season, crazy enough, the best defensive performance was probably against Baltimore, Kasey. It's probably against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens.
Yeah, ain't that something? Be better against the bad teams. That's how you save your job. You do good against the good teams, great against bad teams. Didn't do too well against bad teams, other than Carolina. And backup quarterbacks, you got to just do better.
I asked you guys this a little bit during the break and along this conversation. Do you put players in the right spots? Like the biggest, I guess, controversial move of defense this whole year, the discussion has been, kick Travon Walker inside. Kick Travon Walker inside. Kick Travon Walker inside. Why aren't you doing it? Get another pass rusher, kick him inside. He's better off inside. Just had 10 sacks. Were they right? And is he best out here?
Well, would he have gotten more from the inside, or would he have served the team better from the inside? We just sat here talking about how they were weak against the run late in the season, and we know that Travon comes with a reputation for kind of blowing up those plays. I don't know. He certainly looked good from the outside this year. I think you've got a good, versatile player. I think that's why they drafted him number one, because they thought he could be all things. I think they thought he could be a quarterback sacking, run stopping, sometimes drop into coverage against a large tight end kind of guy.
Kasey, where you at with it? Still want him inside?
I do. I'm just in favor of putting players where they're the most comfortable and think they're the best. And that's clear with Travon. At least it was. And I think that's still the case.
I guess.
But also if you do that, just to add on, you can potentially then put another impact game record on the field at the same time. So now instead of 2, you got 3.
I agree with that.
Okay, but you could have also told Devin Lloyd his only job is to make quarterback street pizza, and then you have 3 pass rushers who are really adept at pass rushing
and
as well.
And that's fair, but they didn't do that.
They did not.
But I still don't hate that idea.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm at with this because I get it. I think you might be right. Is that where he's best? But you said something that stuck out to me because he's clearly better there. I don't know if that's the case. First of all, he hasn't played that much at the NFL level to be clearly better in there. And he was pretty damn good where he was this year at the end of the day. I mean, to have 10 sacks in his second season. Remember, this is a guy that had 9. The biggest thing about Travon Walker not being drafted number 1 overall, people had a problem with it because he only had 9.5 sacks in his collegiate career. He just had 10 sacks this year. Like when we talk about lack of development, or I don't know where Devin Lloyd is as a player. Tyson Campbell, because of injuries and other things, he took a step back this year. I can tell you this. There's a hell of a lot of development in Travon Walker this season. And it happened like mid-season. I think 7 out of the last 8 games or something like that, he had a half a sack at least in every game but 1. And he ends up with 10 sacks. Now, what the naysayers will say is, oh, that was Josh Allen. Yeah, but everybody kept telling us he was wrecking the running game anyway. Like he was already playing well. The stats weren't showing. You were just waiting for the stats. Well, guess what? The stats ended up showing. So you can't have it both ways. And I think I can also argue that Josh Allen was a recipient of some pretty good Travon Walker play. They had to worry about both of them.
Now imagine how great both of them would have been with some significant rush from the middle.
From the middle. So I wonder if the Jags are as wrong as people thought they were on Travon. I also wonder if we're going to gloss over that because that would be giving credit to Trent Baalke a little bit. And I also think that is got to be some credit to Brenson Buckner and Mike Caldwell and the Jaguars defense for taking the number 1 pick who had 3.5 sacks and developing him into a pretty damn good player and looking like it's going to keep going up.
To me, it's more than that. It's having the fortitude, having the testicular fortitude to look everyone in the face and go, I know everybody in the fan base is screaming for Aiden Hutchinson, but we're going Travon Walker for a reason. I think that takes a lot.
It does.
And I'm happy to see it pay off.
I would also give more credit to coaching than GM in that spot. Because at the end of the day, you're still picking 1. Or you picked 1, I should say. So it shouldn't necessarily, in my opinion, be an accomplishment that the guy who you picked number one, who in his rookie year was not very good, is now better. If you're picking one, you should have picked the best player. So I don't give the GM credit for him coming along nicely. No duh. He better. He was the number one pick.
Yeah, I guess.
So I put that more on coaching.
Yeah, and probably is more on coaching and more on player. Nice job by the player, too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
But I also think when I talk vision, when you draft the number one player overall, like when they take Caleb Williams, whoever does, they draft him with a vision of being great. They don't draft him of being great right now. Now, they hope he is, but they draft him with the ceiling is way up here, and there's going to be a progression toward that, an ascension. And so I do think the book's not done there. I mean, right now, Hutchinson has got his team in the playoffs, and he's performed better overall, and he looks more dominant, certainly, than Travon. But the bottom line is, I think Travon had a really good year, too, and there's some boxes of credit to go around, I think, on that one. As for players, not plays, this one got brought up in my conversation today. Calvin Ridley. Should they have played him? I thought it was an interesting one because I don't look at football like this in terms of Calvin Ridley, go ahead and go run routes. But when Christian Kirk went out, should they have moved Calvin Ridley inside to play more from the slot from a matchup standpoint? Like if you look at some of the best receivers in the game, take CeeDee Lamb, for example. Mm-hmm. He often goes from the slot.
His best work is from the slot.
But he's got the ability to be the outside guy, right?
Yeah.
It's a mismatch problem.
Yes. Well, it's a mismatch problem from the slot as well, yeah.
It's a mismatch problem, but I mean more of a mismatch in the slot.
He just cooks from everywhere.
But he's ranked number one in all yards, receptions, touchdowns, DVOA, all of it from the slot.
He cooked the Jags in the slot last year.
He did.
Or 2 years ago. For 144 yards.
Yeah. He couldn't defend him. And I'm just wondering, should they have done that more? Now, you have some numbers to say, well, they did and maybe didn't need to or whatever, but it just came up, and I was like, well, that's an interesting thought. Should they have basically replaced Christian Kirk with Calvin Ridley and then kick somebody else on the outside? Now, what maybe didn't allow for them to do that as much as Zay Jones was hurt, too. So, like, you might have been more apt to do that if Zay Jones was healthy and playing on the outside. Did they feel comfortable enough with Elijah Cooks and Tim Jones and all those guys to do that? Probably not. But I still think it's an interesting thought. And what do your numbers say?
Well, we were talking a couple of days ago about the fact that the Jags kind of had like 2 or 3 decent slot receivers that you can't all play at the slot at the same time. And so that kind of began this hunt. And then we were talking about it a little more today. But what you see from the beginning of the season is an occasional lineup in the slot, somewhere in the 7, 8, 6 to 9 range until you get to Tennessee the first time around. He lines up 14 times in the slot, goes off, 7 catches, 103 yards with a long for 34, 2 touchdowns. Huge game for Calvin Ridley. It's actually his second or third huge game of the year, unfortunately, coming in mid-November. But then you fast forward to the Cincy game, which is where I believe Kirk goes down.
It was.
And starting at the Cincy game, he's got double-digit slot lineups the next 4 straight weeks, missing Carolina, and then again against Tennessee. So clearly they used him as part of the solution once Kirk went down.
Yeah, so they did.
It didn't necessarily affect his numbers, certainly not his catches. He got a ton of targets when Christian Kirk was out. You saw that, especially with Zay out. You're talking about 13 targets, 12 targets, 9 targets, 10 targets. Some of his largest target numbers of the year. It didn't translate to receptions and yards. What you do see from Calvin is him excelling in games where the secondary is suspect. What you don't see is Calvin excelling only when he's in the slot. It's just not a thing. Maybe not this year.
Do you guys feel like, minus the numbers, we'll get. Do you feel like Ridley was starting to find his form later in the year? And by later, 4 or 5 weeks, whatever you want to say. Obviously, the last game he certainly did a little bit more. But what do your eyes tell you? What was your perception of him? Like, was he starting to get it with Trevor Lawrence in this offense?
I mean, they fed him so much. It's hard to feel like he wasn't a piece of the offense. But, I mean, you give a guy 13 targets and he catches the ball 4 times for 53 yards. It's hard to sign off on he's getting more comfortable. That, by the way, happened against Cleveland.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to look at the numbers.
I understand. I was just saying, based on watching, when you watch those games, you see the targets, you're like, all right, obviously they're working together, maybe even better. But I'm just saying it's deceiving.
How about you, Kasey? What do you think?
Without looking at the stats, I'll say no. I don't think so.
You didn't.
I kind of
did. I felt like.
Well, it just looked like they were looking at him more.
Well, and they had to. They didn't have Zay Jones or Christian
That's the
Kirk,
point,
right? So
right, yeah.
I get that, but you almost feel that. Like it felt like, and he said in the locker room this week, like he was starting to find his footing a little bit more. He felt more fresh. It almost he made it seem. I tweeted a couple of these out last night, but he made it seem like he was more banged up than maybe. You don't always land on practice reports or injury reports or missed practices. He never missed a practice all year, in fact. But he made it seem like he was more sore, banged up, things like that at some stretch of the season, and then he got a second wind, which actually makes some sense, doesn't it? He hadn't played in like 2 years. So
yes.
It was almost a little bit like a rookie where you hit that wall and then kind of come out of it.
That's fair.
I could see that, but I don't know. I felt like he was getting open more. A little bit of problem with Ridley, and now you go to the numbers and you're like, the catch rate needs to be better than this.
Way better.
And
if you're a number one receiver.
Sure, some of that can be on the quarterback, but we saw enough clips where that was also on Calvin.
Well, that's what I would say. Like when you ask if it looked like he was getting more comfortable, to me, if the ball was being thrown and it was going to the side of the field that Calvin Ridley lined up on, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. Could it be a big play? Sure.
Could it be
the
an
wrong
interception?
route? Yes. Interception.
Could it be a penalty?
Like anything could have happened. So like I feel like it's hard to answer that question. Yes, I felt like he was getting his footing. When anytime the ball was in that direction, I had no idea what the outcome was going to be.
Yeah.
Anything from pick six to touchdown.
If you didn't know, imagine what Trevor was thinking.
Let me ask it this way, Kasey. If Trevor targets Evan Ingram more than 10 times, how many times do you think he's catching that ball if he targets him 11 times?
8.
Okay.
Yeah,
Christian Kirk.
His catch, I mean, he's crazy high, by the way. Ingram.
Okay, Christian Kirk.
And the degree of difficulty on the catches is a lot less.
That's fair, too.
6 to 7.
But literally any time he's targeted 10 times or more, at 10 times 6 catches, 13 times 4 catches, 12 times 5 catches, 10 times 6 catches. Like, it's got to be better if you're wide receiver 1.
Yeah, it's got to be better. And again, I don't think the quarterback's void of this here. Like, it's hard. You have to go back, break down all of it and see, like, okay, how many were on him. Here's what I liked about the back half of this year. After San Francisco, he had just his long catch, 34 yards, 45 yards, 21 yards, 25 yards, 59 yards. Like he started to make bigger plays, it felt like. Now, he had a couple earlier in the year too, but it's just like it felt more consistent in that. So I feel like that's maybe why my eyes say he showed up a little bit more. He obviously got in the end zone since San Francisco, 6 touchdown catches.
Yeah.
That's meaningful. I mean, this is a guy that really, if you go back and look at those clips that people are putting out and the missed touchdown opportunities, Ridley could have had easy 12 touchdowns this year. He could have had the season that he predicted in the Players Tribune. He could have easily had 1,400 yards and a dozen touchdowns. I mean, might have been 14 touchdowns, but you get my point.
But as shocking as that feels and as bad as it feels to watch those montage videos that we've all now seen on X, it's not like he led the league in drops anywhere close to it.
Yeah, it didn't feel like he flat out dropped them. It just feels like, I think Kasey brings this up, if you're the number one guy, you're making more of those plays.
Yeah, you got to be able to be counted on like you count on Evan Ingram, like you count on Christian Kirk.
That's my beef with I'm beefing with numbers now, which is crazy. The stats, and you just brought them up, right? 6 touchdowns at the end. But the touchdowns came, and I get it, in a you blew out
2
Tennessee,
Tampa,
2 against Tampa, 2 against Tennessee, and really only 2 in meaningful games that you had to have. Houston in the middle of the season, and then Tennessee at the end. But that stretch in the middle between Houston and Tampa, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Baltimore, had to have it. Desperate. Targeted, 15 and 8, whatever that math is. A lot of times, had to have it, nowhere to be found. So that's where I say you can't be a number, like, that guy shows up. We talked about in that Cincinnati game, you just take that one. We talked about Jake Browning, might have been first start, potentially second. I can't remember if he came in the game before or what. They were going to rely on Jamar Chase, and look what they did. He was their number one. He made plays. Cleveland, Joe Flacco, second start. Amari Cooper relied on him, right? And then Baltimore is Baltimore, so it's a little different. But I just don't think you can go missing in those games and be the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's a fair point. Like as we say that, as that gets brought up, and as you look at this, I think the inconsistencies of Ridley are real. Really inconsistent this year. I also think the good is really good, and I saw a lot of people in the last day, especially when I tweeted that video last night of what he said in the locker room, which I thought he's really genuine and real and about everything. And he's, in that sense, I think he's likable because of his authenticity. I have no problem with Ridley being back here and seeing where he goes in year 2. But I think you just clarified something probably to me, and maybe he clarified it for everybody else around the league this year. I don't think he's a 1. I mean, very good 2 with an excellent skill set that's going to be 30 years old. But he's not like this, the 1 that you think like is an alpha 1. He might have been on the track for that before some things got derailed. That's not what we saw this year. And that's all we have to judge on. I mean, we saw him up
Do you
close.
think it's a reality that you can bring him back as a 2?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think 1s grow on trees. Like you can, that's why I say this a lot when we had this Ridley discussion already this week. It's like you can want somebody else. You can want T. Higgins. What if Cincinnati keeps him? You can want to go draft a young man in the first round of the draft, but don't you need a big fella? Like, which way are you going? So, and I don't think you're trading for somebody for $20-something million. So that's, and Doug, by the way, has won a Super Bowl without a 1. Like, he won without, this offense can cook without a true 1, even if you want it.
They had big boys, though.
They did. And so maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's not the 1, 2, all this stuff. Maybe it's body type. But listen, I think Ridley, I would feel fine with Ridley back here next year, and I'd be intrigued to see where else he can go, because I don't think this year through my eye test was that great, and he still put up 1,008 touchdowns. But I think Kasey brings up a good point, diving deeper into the numbers, like, okay, when did those come? And the inconsistencies are the thing that kind of clouds everything. You've got to be more consistent than that. By the way, you got to be more consistent than that as any receiver.
Agreed.
But if you're going to be like a top flight receiver that we think you are, and we're going to pay you $15-16 million, you got to be more consistent. Christian Kirk has had some drops. He's had some unfortunate fumble. I think it was against Kansas City earlier in the year. I think it was maybe Houston. I forget which game, but he's pretty damn consistent at $17 million. You kind of know what you're going to get. Mm-hmm. And there's an occasional drop. Like everybody's going to. I saw Jamar Chase drop balls. I've seen T. Higgins drop balls. But I think this was a different level of inconsistency, and that might have just been year 1 coming back, system, chemistry. They've got to identify that. That's one of the decisions they've got to make.
You are now setting up a situation where you're reloading the run it back line for the wide receivers now. And this was the problem this year.
Yeah, but, well, I wouldn't say the receivers are a problem.
No. I mean, the running it back with the team. You were satisfied. You watched the whole season. You said 9-8 was good enough. We'll probably just get better organically. And now you're doing it again.
I'm not necessarily doing it again. I'm asking the question, can I be better than that? I don't want to be worse.
He's doing it again.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Those are the 2 questions you got to ask. What am I replacing with to get better? And if I replace this or I let them go, are we that much worse? You don't want to get worse.
Mike Evans is better.
Well, they'll have to decide that. You sound like you already have. We'll be back on ESPN 690.
Now, the First Alert Forecast on ESPN 690.
Jackets and coats today. It'll be a cool day, but at least a good deal of sun. The afternoon high in the upper 50s, dropping into the 30s. A chilly night tonight, and partly to mostly cloudy and cool tomorrow. Your Thursday high around 60 degrees. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish. Join me today beginning at 5 p.m. on CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, proud to offer a huge selection of both lab-grown and natural diamonds at the lowest prices guaranteed.
Jackson Hewitt has a plan to get your tax refund fast with a buck here, buck there. Here a buck, there a buck, everywhere a buck.
You don't have to wait weeks for your tax refund. Get money sooner with a no-fee refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt.
On this loan, there's a money today guarantee. E-I-E-I-Do.
Don't settle for chicken feed. Get fast bucks at Jackson Hewitt today. No-fee refund advance loans by Republic Bank offered to eligible clients. Money today guarantee if approved for a loan on a prepaid card. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
A sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows the Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hi, this is Earl Ron, president of New South Window. New South is having a one-day factory sale this Saturday only in our factory showroom. 40% off energy-efficient windows and patio doors. One day only this Saturday from 9 till 4. Please visit us at newsouthwindow.com.
Hey, folks. Now that the kids and grandkids have gone home and the decorations are coming down, I can see that it's time to get my carpets and sofas cleaned. That's where Zero Res comes in. Zero Res can clean the carpets, the sofa, the chairs, the area rugs, and even the tile and grout. Google Zero Res and see what your neighbors are saying with over 5,000 five-star customer reviews. Right now, get 20% off carpet cleaning and 20% off upholstery cleaning. Zero Res spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Men suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE? Frustrated taking pills that don't work? Here's a message from Prime Men's Medical Center.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Prime Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough treatments with men lasting longer than ever without pain or surgery.
Call now. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results right in the office. Call Prime Men's Medical Center now. 904-664-8221. That's 904-664-8221.
Meet Mike Lester.
Talent is not going to be the right choice for every single person out there, right? Because everybody is different. We do well when our clients do well. We're literally sitting on the same side of the table with them. We're in this together.
Yeah.
When you do well, I'll do well. Once we have that understanding, then we can come up with a plan that's designed to help you be successful in retirement.
Find out more at guardingyournestegg.com.
Advisory services through Talon Private Wealth and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Florida License D056341.
UNCF salutes HBCUs. Each year, UNCF awards more than 10,000 scholarships and helps 60,000 students build better futures. Go to uncf.org right now to donate. Remember, a mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's Twin Tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. This month, you can get 50% off a Connecticut K5 drinking water system with the purchase of a Connecticut Premier Series softener. If you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and provide solutions that are right for you and your family. Imagine having clean, clear, purified water at your home. No more plastic bottles, no more waste, just great tasting, purified water that you can trust. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. Great financing options for the holidays available. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1428211.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. When the prospect of divorce becomes a reality, you need a partner that you can count on. If you're a man in this situation, consider contacting Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men navigate complex legal matters for 30 years.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Jacksonville area attorneys. Offices in Jacksonville and by appointment only in Ponte Vedra Beach. Online at CordellCordell.com. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois only.
God, I'm so stressed. It's a brand new year and our business is busier than ever.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 35 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Starts at $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
Hi, folks. Terry Norvell here, inviting you to join me and my broadcast partner, Patrick Young, weekdays at high noon for the Young and Norvell Show. Lunch is on you, the most compelling sports talk in the area. Well, that's on us. The Young and Norvell Show, weekdays at noon on ESPN 690.
Still to come, I'll say this for football at 5. 3 questions Shad Khan should ask. I don't know who he's asking specifically, but I would assume it would be Trent Baalke and Doug Pederson.
All right, good, because that's what I put in the title today.
That's good. So we'll get to that. Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, Kasey Kuhrts.
And Case, don't think you get to figure out your questions and I won't judge you, because I'm here judging all questions from all members of the media.
I haven't even started to think about it.
Shocker.
My guess is I'll start when we start the segment. So don't go to me first.
You know what's pretty wild is that Doug Pederson, he obviously hadn't fired Mike Caldwell by the time he had his news conference at 3:30 or 4 o'clock, I don't think.
Not officially. He probably made the decision.
Well, he had made the decision.
Okay.
But I'm saying he officially hadn't. And, well, I don't think he did. He was late to the presser.
Okay.
Which means maybe he had come from there.
Filing the paperwork.
I would have thought by that time something would have leaked out like in the middle of it, so you wouldn't, maybe you do it after.
Sure.
I don't know how the timing of it works. But this is how smart these guys are. So they do it later. They don't have to answer any questions about it.
Right.
He puts a statement out. They won't be answering questions about the coaching changes until the next time we see Doug in a public setting. Maybe Combine?
And will it even be something people ask at that point? They'll probably ask
so
about the
far,
hiring.
The new guy,
Yeah.
right? So it's actually pretty smart in some respects. Now, he might be at the Senior Bowl, but I don't feel like the Jacksonville coach have been going to the Senior Bowl that much lately. Maybe he will.
Which is weird based on how many young bodies they've been putting on the team.
Yeah, maybe he goes down to the Pro Bowl with the part. I don't usually see coaches down to the Pro Bowl. So it's just pretty wild that I don't have to answer anything about the staff. I guess it's pretty genius in a way. And you're right. We'll be asking about the new one by then. So just had that thought. That's
New defensive coordinator in Jacksonville will be Bill Belichick. He's in the running with Mike Vrabel.
There are a lot of guys out. I mean, we talked about this yesterday, and I kind of stole it from not Steven, but somebody else. Somebody mentioned this.
You steal it from everybody.
Oh, yeah. All good ideas are stolen.
You and Jim Harbaugh have the same philosophy. Well, one guy, Natty.
But I actually think this might have been Mina Kimes who said this. It's like the best free agent coaching class that we've seen ever. Well, Pete Carroll just added to it, but he's not really a free agent, I guess.
He's not going anywhere.
Bro,
I guess if somebody
Aaron
really
said
wanted to him. Aaron said it?
I thought Aaron said it yesterday.
Maybe Aaron
I
stole
did.
it.
Yeah, well, just the fact that there are so many names out there. Plus, that's when I asked, are there any college coaches on the horizon we're not thinking about?
Yeah.
Someone in the chat mentioned Lincoln Riley. I remember the last time I mentioned Lincoln Riley on the show, you guys laughed me out of the studio.
Yeah.
You want to do it again?
Lincoln Riley?
He's lost a little. He's lost a little luster.
A little bit. But that being said, I saw Cliff Kingsbury's being discussed as an offensive coordinator in circles.
Oh, that's okay. I was going to laugh you out of the studio again.
Well, that just means he's working his way back, Case.
That's fine. You can work your way back. Everybody gets,
a couple of chances
to be an offensive coordinator. Look at Hackett.
No
offense, Hackett, but
Belichick
it's not going too well.
Belichick, Carroll, Vrabel, all could be gone. I mean, is Belichick going to go?
Don't forget Tomlin. So now the new smoke is that Belichick is making it hard on Robert Kraft. He met with Robert Kraft at the beginning of the week. Reports out of that meeting, I'm assuming Belichick leaked it. Who else is leaking it? It's either Kraft or Belichick. But Bill basically tells Robert Kraft he's okay with stepping away from player personnel if that's what it means. Also, you got to think about, is he looking out for his son, who is on the coaching staff?
True.
I think he's got two sons on the coaching staff. But the one son who's up for defensive coordinator on the team, I guess him and Jared Mayo are neck and neck in what comes next. And you got to imagine if Bill is off the team, Bill's son is probably off the team as well.
Also, bro's 75 years old. He's probably not trying to move. Like, I'm just being
no, that's real. Like, why do you really want to start over again?
Like, can you imagine if Chargers want him? He's got to move at 75. Everything. He's lived there forever.
L.A. Bill might be a different vibe than New England Bill.
Yeah, probably.
L.A. Bill's probably still miserable.
L.A. Bill is wearing Adidas slides to work.
Not a chance.
L.A. Bill is wearing straw hat during the season. No more hoodies.
Straw hat I get behind, not the slides.
No more hoodies for Bill. He's wearing like visors, sunglasses. He's doing the pinky thumb hang 10 dude every time the cameras are around. L.A. Bill is smoking recreational weed. L.A. Bill's living life, man. None of this New England Bill sipping Dunky coffee every day.
I think there are 7 head coaching jobs open already.
It's a lot.
Like Eberflus coming back.
For a year that had so much parity. It's a lot of head coaching jobs.
Last year, I think there were 10 and then an eventual 11th, I want to say. Or maybe that was the Doug Pederson year. I always mix up.
And again, we're not counting Pittsburgh because it hasn't happened, but there is a report that Tomlin might be out.
I feel like I've been in so many meetings I haven't been paying attention to that stuff as much. Is there just one report or is there more smoke?
I didn't see more today, but I did see multiple reports yesterday. And when I say multiple reports, it's entirely possible that it's one report that multiple outlets are quoting, because that's how media works in 2024 now. But that being said, the thought there is that Tomlin wants to step away for a year. And if he does, the Steelers have to move on, even though they still own the rights to Tomlin. They could trade him or something. A la Sean Payton to the Broncos.
Do you think if Sirianni?
No. Wow. Okay. No, it's off-season case. Don't worry about it.
If they lose in the playoffs, is he out?
I mean, he thinks he might be. I don't see how you could fire that guy.
Is he out of what?
A job.
With the Eagles?
Yes.
No.
Well, he wasn't sure about it. I don't see how you can fire that guy. I mean, I get it's Philly. You can fire anybody in Philly, right? But I just took him to the Super Bowl last year.
They feel like, you said we used the car analogy earlier, presented by Nimnik Buick GMC.
I love it.
And
turn it into some revenue. They feel broken to you?
Well, they feel, what did we say about Jags? Broke?
That the car has broken parts.
Not totaled.
But it's not totaled.
Broken but totaled. Not totaled. I would say they feel closer to totaled if they lose the play. They were 10-1, man.
First round, yes.
Yeah, they were 10-1, and if some of the same problems arise, like Hurts went from MVP to a little infighting, it sounded like, with A.J. Brown and others. Their defense is just a shell of what it was last year.
Yes.
And they tried to replace. They've tried to plug, and they haven't been able to do so. There's reports like, who was calling out Jordan Davis for being overweight? Guy's supposed to be a game wrecker.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there were a lot of questions asked in Philadelphia. And by the way, they get asked louder in Philadelphia.
And angrier, yes.
And angrier. So
I think Jags fans are angry.
So I just think I think it's an interesting one to watch. Eberflus, by the way, staying. To me, that indicates that Fields is staying.
Eberflus staying, to me, also means Fields is staying. Plus, DJ Moore, I guess, met with ownership and then gave an interview afterwards to the media.
Yeah, did you see that?
Where he didn't say Justin Fields is coming back, but he kind of alluded to the fact that...
It's like they told me, right? He said they told me.
It's like, all right,
well, what would they tell him? Like, they're not going to tell him we're taking Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
And by the way, ownership has lied to players before.
I guess that's fair. That is fair. You don't want to do it to your number one receiver, but that's fair.
Yeah, I'm not sure DJ Moore carries that much weight, but...
But if you're the Eagles... You got Sirianni as the head coach. You just lost both your coordinators. You saw how it went this year. Maybe you go the route we're talking about the Jags going, and you get some experience in there. I mean, you had Sean Desai running the defense this year. He had been a defensive coordinator before with the Bears for a season. That didn't go so well. But he had never been an NFL defensive coordinator before that. Like, maybe you get some experienced guys in there to take these grizzled veterans and keep them humming. It's not what you saw this year.
Yeah, you didn't. Kasey, you think Fields locked in now in Chicago?
I guess that would make sense. That's insane to me, but shout out to them for, making a bad decision.
And the reason why I say that, and you're like, well, why couldn't they do this? I guess they could trade him, and then you have the number one pick.
No, I agree with you. It feels like coach and quarterback are going to go together.
It feels, yeah. Now, does that also indicate they're not going to pay him? And I'm not telling you that they need to pay Fields, but if you look at his stuff, it seems a little...
That makes more sense. Still got to earn it, both of you.
Still got to earn it. Yeah, and listen, there's a camp out there that says Trevor should earn it too, and I get it. Like, that's fine. I understand it. I think that's less likely to happen here in Jacksonville. It appears like he is the guy, and there's no thought about it. For Fields, for the last 2 years, it's been, is he the guy? Are they going to pick number one? All this stuff, then replace.
But also,
and he also, like, if you look at a lot of the metrics don't add up well for Fields. Like, Trevor will shake out a lot better in some of the metrics other than turnovers, really. So from an evidence standpoint, like, if I'm his agent, I can't go to the team and be like, pay me now. If I'm Fields, yeah, I'm 24th in this and 25th in this and 23rd in this. Like, that's a tough deal, right?
I think you can do it after the draft.
Yeah, maybe you could.
Like, once they pass on the opportunity to draft Caleb Williams, I think it's a lot easier for Fields in that camp to have leverage and go, all right, now set the deal up because I'm your guy.
That's fair. But also, if you're sitting here now and you're the Bears and you're not sure that you're going to pay Buddy, you're going to pass on 2 straight number 1 overall picks when in those drafts, I understand that Carolina picked Bryce Young. C.J. Stroud looks pretty damn good. Caleb Williams, by all accounts, is going to be pretty damn good. So if you're not sure right now that Fields is your guy and you don't pick quarterback, you're dumb.
Case just took me off the fence. I'm with Kasey on this.
All right.
Well, okay, but
about time I got one of those.
That's fair, but if you do that, like you don't keep Eberflus. You start it again. You might even keep the GM, but you're going to bring in
You mean if you draft a quarterback?
If you draft a quarterback.
No, that's what Case is saying. He's like, look, if you're passing on Caleb Williams plus whoever you passed on last year, whether it would have been Stroud or Bryce Young or Anthony Richardson or even Will Levis, you passed on all of it. How are you not re-signing Justin Fields? Like,
you got to be right.
You better be right based on what you said. We have Albert on the line.
We do.
Let's get to him.
I've been waiting on Albert.
What's up, Albert?
Hey, I don't know if I'm a little late to the conversation, but my questions I would ask were, the first one would be if they could go back and make an off-season move, maybe they didn't, like what would it be specifically? Maybe a person or a player, like a person or a personnel decision. And the second question is, who does Brent Baalke report to? Like, does he have a football operations person, or is it just Shad Khan, who doesn't have a football background?
Albert, it's funny you asked this question because last year Shad Khan announced he was going to hire a VP of football operations.
Executive VP, yeah.
To slot in between Shad and Trent, and that just never came to fruition.
Didn't happen. No. Albert, good call. Appreciate the questions, and those are good questions. I would answer your question about Baalke as he reports to Shad. He's like the football guy. That and part of this, people don't like that Shad leans on. Like, I think football, this is one of the million questions I got asked about Ty that he was reading on Twitter, everybody's thoughts, and
still
he's like, well, you might have said this too. That's like, okay, maybe I did. But
check the receipts,
yeah,
Bert.
man. But shoved it right back in his face.
The bottom line, listen, Shad is not an X's and O football guy. Everybody knows that.
He's a billionaire.
But I also think he's learned about football through his 12 years, 10 years, whatever it is, and also a lot of interviews, right? Like, he's digested a lot of football. That doesn't mean he knows what you should do to pick players and et cetera. But I think we also question whether GMs that get hired know what to do to pick players and get you to the promised land. But so the point is, yes, you have to have a football person. What they chose to do, and this shows you that Baalke was probably had a deeper voice than people wanted. When they hired Pederson, he eliminated that idea of the executive vice president. And at the time, I actually thought I got the sense of it. You were already having an arranged marriage. Why would you bring a third person in there, right? Like, if we want this thing to work, now you're going to bring a third ego, a third voice, a third opinion into a conversation of trying to fix the team. To me, it actually didn't make sense. And by the way, if you need to do it now, that means you need a babysitter. That means your guy isn't good enough. Get rid of him.
That's the thing.
Right?
Like, if you're only hiring this guy because you don't trust the stuff you're hearing from your GM, then what are you doing with your GM?
Yeah, you shouldn't be. You either trust the GM or you get rid of the GM. And then if you want to do the structure after the fact of EVP and everything else, well, that's on you. Maybe you should go do it. As for the offseason move, we'll get into that. And coming up, football at 5, 3 questions Shad Khan should be asking. Trent Baalke alone or Trent Baalke and Doug Pederson? We'll get to that coming up in a bit on ESPN 690.
Brent and Friends is sponsored by Best Bet, now open in St. Augustine.
From selling out of a back of a car to one of the biggest outfitters in the Southeast, Baker Sports is quite the story. And on a daily basis, they are helping you write your story with a high school name or sports team across a uniform and so much more. And now it's a one-stop shop with Baker Sports, carrying Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour. They already make you look good, and now they can help you look better than ever. Baker Sports, custom sports apparel since 1997. Shop with the hometown team. And it's easy to do at bakersport.com.
We're dealing at Best Bet St. Augustine, the only card room and sports bar in St. Augustine, Florida. With nonstop action, poker games of all limits, exciting tournaments and table games, and a sports bar showing all the action. Best Bet St. Augustine has you covered. Don't miss our delicious dining options, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our always popular freshly made sushi. Best Bet St. Augustine is located at 800 Marketplace Drive off exit 311, where I-95 and State Road 207 meet. Learn more at bestbetjacks.com.
Attention men and women. If you would like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Mike from Bay Meadows.
I finally found the most experienced company who could restore my hair. Now I have hair where I had none before.
Results guaranteed. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Find out why you're losing your hair and how to grow your hair back. Call 904-777-IHRS for a limited time free hair and scalp examination.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
Thank you, IHRS.
Thanks, IHRS, for giving me my hair back.
Hurry, this free examination, normally $199, is yours for free and good only through Sunday. For your free examination, call IHRS at 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Call now.
Are you a real estate investor or have considered investing and want to know where you can put your money that offers solid returns and protects against market volatility? It's Rich Jones. I want to introduce you to DLP Capital, CEO and founder Don Wenner.
For more than a decade, DLP Capital has delighted our investors with consistent double-digit returns. Through the smart, conservative real estate investment strategy our company is built on, we have been able to achieve this with monthly distributions and tax shelters so our investors can keep more of their returns.
Dial ** invest on your cell phone or visit highyieldreturns.net.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Kinetico softener and drinking water system. Kinetico's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. This month, you can get 50% off a Kinetico K5 drinking water system with the purchase of a Kinetico Premier Series softener. If you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and provide solutions that are right for you and your family. Imagine having clean, clear, purified water at your home. No more plastic bottles, no more waste, just great tasting, purified water that you can trust. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. Great financing options for the holidays available. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Kinetico dealer. Florida license number CFC 1428211.
When a child gets a diagnosis of cancer, wraparound care is vital. That's why the Child Cancer Fund is proud to announce the Child Cancer Fund Psychosocial Services Endowment in partnership with the Moores Children's Health. This provides music, animal-assisted therapy, psychology, educational services to local kids fighting cancer. It's a holistic approach that has a lifelong impact on the children we serve in our community. To make a donation and support these families, become a monthly donor at childcancerfund.org. That's childcancerfund.org.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-384-1340. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-384-1340. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-384-1340.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
This is Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau.
You don't even like your quarterback.
Kasey Kuhrts.
You don't even like your team.
And Aaron Schachter.
I don't even like myself, guys. Do you know me?
On Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
I just caught the end of what just happened.
Okay.
In the middle of the break as we're coming back. I'm listening. You two are talking. And
you're not listening.
I was kind of listening, but not fully listening.
He's never listening to us.
And no, I'm always listening.
I was Fadakasi listening.
And
He said fully listen.
You said, Kasey's like, hey, we're back. He's like, oh, damn.
I'm talking to my boys.
Well, I'm glad it's going to be a good segment here.
Talking to my guys. I don't want to be interrupted by work or a radio show.
I feel that.
It is funny. Sometimes the breaks go so quick.
Yeah, man.
Right?
Well, it's only 5 minutes. Sometimes 4, sometimes 3.
Throw in a couple more commercials, Case. We got stuff to do.
And if it's 3B, there's no spots for some reason. Someone's got to fix that.
That's so inside.
But you weren't around. Kasey, how long you been? 2 years?
Yeah, Casey's got 2 years on him, I think. June of what, 22?
Huh?
21? When did you come on?
21.
June of
You were
21?
21?
Yeah,
when was the pandemic? 21?
Yeah.
20.
And it was
March of 20.
It was like April.
So we closed the office in March of
Was Kuz only here for like 2 years?
Yeah, from the beginning.
Correct.
Wow, so you've almost been here 3 years? Are you sure about that?
He was like 1 year when I stepped in, yeah.
I'm positive. You're right. It's like June. So if
2.5 years right now about.
Yeah. So when the summer comes, if we're all still sitting here, it'll be 3.
Hey, you're sitting there just not improving after 3 years, but we're screaming fire Baalke.
That's the deepest projection you've ever made for this show, by the way. Summer of 24.
Let me clarify. It's not a projection. I wouldn't bet on it, and I bet on everything.
We're just trying to make it.
By the way, my point was when we first started, like we would have these commercials be like, I mean, we're literally just starting, right? We'd have like 2-minute commercials, 2.5-minute commercials. I'm like, we can't. And by like half, it was like PSAs. I'm like, we gotta make these longer. I can't even go to the bathroom in 2.5 minutes. Like, it's like we don't need the long commercials like somebody else in town, but we don't need like the 2-minute commercials, right?
Yeah.
Oh, look, more commercials.
You know, 5 years. 5 years this week.
That's your anniversary. I saw you post recently about all the lunch stuff.
Kind of the lunch stuff.
So we once again didn't get a birthday party organized?
Well, it's on Sunday. You guys want to come in?
Yes.
We thought we'd be doing a playoff game in celebration.
Yeah, I had a big idea for the birthday party this year. I know.
All right.
It's this Sunday. Are we invited?
No, you're not. That was the big idea. It's just me and the listeners.
5 years.
That's impressive.
ESPN 690. We did make it to 5 years.
To 5.
You think we'll make it to 6?
That'd be a nice little ID.
Name a Jaguars head coach who recently lasted longer.
That's actually
Jack Del Rio.
Heck of a call.
All right, you got to go back 10 years.
That's right. Jack Del Rio with one of our finest moments on this show, too.
That's true. It's your most viral moment.
And it was in year 1.
Oh.
Football at 5 coming up. What 3 questions we had, Shad Khan? We got one from Albert. We'll answer that next. Happy New Year from Bold City Heating and Air. Start the year with the buyback program. You get up to almost $1,000 for your old AC unit when you purchase a new Carrier unit with Bold City Heating and Air. And new financing in, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. Take advantage. Let Bold City keep your family at the right temperature and help make it a comfortable start to 2024. Bold City Heating and Air, one of the last standing 5-star companies, locally owned and operated, white glove service, certified techs. Bold City Heating and Air. BoldCityAC.com.
Hey folks, now that the kids and grandkids have gone home and the decorations are coming down, I can see that it's time to get my carpets and sofas cleaned. That's where Zero Res comes in. Zero Res can clean the carpets, the sofa, the chairs, the area rugs, and even the tile and grout. Google Zero Res and see what your neighbors are saying with over 5,000 5-star customer reviews. Right now, get 20% off carpet cleaning and 20% off upholstery cleaning. Zero Res spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
This year, I resolved to have a whole new view in life.
Nice. So what are we talking? New attitude? Maybe new glasses?
Nope. New windows and doors from American Window Products.
New view. I see what you did there.
They're Jacksonville's oldest family-owned replacement window and door company. Great prices, selection, professional installation. They look great, too. And you can save $250 off any entry door and free installation on 6 or more windows in January when you call 731-2247 or visit AmericanWindowProducts.com.
Thanks. I'll give them a look.
You can make the decision right now to get lasting relief from that awful joint pain just in time for the new year so you can have a fantastic 2024. Don't go another year compromising because of that pain in your knees or your back or your hips or your shoulders. Call QC Kinetics now. Get a free consultation, 904-274-5522. And here's why you want to call. Because QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative non-surgical pain relief. Your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue, and QC Kinetics can make it happen.
No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. The future of pain treatments has arrived, and QC Kinetics has tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People with back pain, hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or even injury. This is not a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again, get your life back. Now listen, it's non-surgical. Get a free consultation with QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522. Put it on the calendar now, 904-274-5522.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
It looks like your luggage is over 50 pounds. Is there anything you can take out?
Oh, yeah. Let me just toss all these $20 bills.
Great. Let me grab you a trash can.
Stop. Instead of throwing money away, move some clothes into a carry-on. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
O'Reilly. Did you know 1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced? O'Reilly Auto Parts will test your battery for free. If your battery needs to be replaced, our professional parts people can help you find the right Super Start battery for your vehicle and budget. Don't wait. Get your battery tested for free today at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. A surprise in Seattle. After 14 years and the only Super Bowl title in franchise history, Pete Carroll's out as Seahawks coach. He'll remain with the franchise in an advisory role. Among those the Seahawks are expected to be interested in to succeed Carroll, Cowboys defensive coordinator and former Seattle DC Dan Quinn. The Bears are not making a head coaching change. Matt Eberflus will return for the 2024 season. Team did fire offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. So what does Eberflus's return mean for the future of quarterback Justin Fields? ESPN Bears reporter Courtney Cronin.
To me, this likely signals that they're going to use that number 1 pick on a quarterback unless something drastic changes and they feel that they have somebody coming in who is dead set on working with Justin Fields. You wouldn't be wanting to hitch your wagon to a head coach that might be out of a job after 2024 and a quarterback that, also may be on the move.
Courtney Cronin on Greeny. NBA, the Clippers signed franchise star Kawhi Leonard to a 3-year, $153 million extension. The team continues extension talks with star Paul George. LA wants both lined up on long-term deals.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Thursday. I'll tell you why this will be the Cowboys' last best chance to get to the Super Bowl. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, your chance to win $1,000 as ESPN 690 wants to pay your bills. Sponsored by the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute, JOI, where the pros go.
Enter the word house. That's HOUSE at ESPN690.com by 15 past the hour.
Your next chance to win $1,000 and have ESPN 690 pay your bills happens tomorrow morning at 8. This is a nationwide contest. Message and data rates apply.
The following message is sponsored by the Florida Department of Elder Affairs, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Sarah is 64 and loves to garden. Recently, her health insurance ran out, leaving her worried about more than just weeds. She called the Elder Helpline and spoke with a volunteer Shine counselor about her options. There, she received free, unbiased counseling on health insurance for those on Medicare. For more information or to volunteer, call 1-800-963-5337 or go to floridashine.org.
Having someone to talk to can change a life.
Cried out to her. She talked me through my depression.
Or even save a life.
I probably wouldn't be here at all. Not only in this room, but just not here at all if I didn't have the help.
If you need someone to talk to, Jewish Family and Community Services is here with in-person trained counselors or through teletherapy. JFCS is here for Jax. Visit jfcsjax.org.
ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jax presents Brent Friends.
Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
We're
getting a little punchy around here, people. It's been a lot in a row.
I would love to punch you guys.
Ow! It really hit me.
Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, and Kasey Kuhrts. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
Football at 5 we go. Midweek here on Brent and Friends on ESPN 690. Casey, you see that?
Nope.
Way I just avoided saying the day.
I didn't even notice. Can we do that again?
Off Aaron.
Can we do a replay? I got to give you credit.
Brent and Friends midweek here on ESPN 690.
Okay, it's good enough. It's fine.
Midweek could be like the interior of the Jags offensive line, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
So it sucks.
Which day's worse?
So it's terrible. It's
Hump
awful.
day. I know people don't care about this. And I don't get it, but I've learned to understand it.
You're definitely talking about radio?
No, I'm talking about like social media especially.
Okay.
But I think sometimes like poor Luke Fortner this week.
It's probably been rough for him.
Like, I don't know how you avoid it. Like, you can tell me like you don't look on or whatever, but he is.
Oh, I know how to avoid it. You play better.
Well, there we go. There we go. That's not what the moral of this is.
Next topic.
Like, the bottom line is he didn't or hasn't. So there's no.
Yeah, what you're going to get then, huh?
See, what you're doing is you're humanizing Luke right now.
Well, I try to. I try to be like, these are human beings. Like I did a little bit last night. We were talking about Calvin Ridley and what he said. And what he said, a very human element to that.
Yes.
Yet people are like, you suck anyway. You lost. And I actually thought last night and this morning, seeing some of the responses, I was like, I get why some of these players bounce back at these guys. Like, I look at somebody, I don't even look at handles a lot or anything like that, but I'm just assuming somebody's saying just something so asinine with no understanding of what sports take sometimes or how good they are at their jobs.
Or how the business works.
And it's like, dude, you probably can't even run to your mailbox. Like, there's a really good chance the person who's saying this can't run to their mailbox.
I mean, they aren't physically fit. You're pointing the finger at chubby guys.
No, not chubby guys, or not run well, or not do anything that these guys can do. So, like, I would see how a player could take that. Like, I can't say that. You can say, Brent, you're an idiot. It's like anybody can talk in front of a microphone. But not everybody can do what these guys do. I mean, they're all really good at it. Yep. The way we critique them, you'd think they were like worse than a JV kid on a high school team. And don't say some of them are, Casey.
I didn't. You were going to say it.
I think when a person invests a lot of their own money, whether it be in tickets or jerseys or concessions at the stadium, $15 beers, and then time, hours every Sunday, hours in the off season. You know, the NFL is one of those machines that doesn't just stop at the end of the season. I think it helps to have a person feel entitled that they've got a say in the matter, and when they're unhappy, you go, no.
Yeah, and also the idea that they get paid, I understand not all of them, but for the most part, millions, hundreds of thousands of dollars, you kind of expect them to be good at it. Because in real-world professions, the best don't get paid, unless you're a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, millions of dollars. You may
I'm
be
not with you on this.
Why?
Because, first of all, they're not in charge of what they get paid. The market has been set before they got there, players.
Okay.
And so, like, I don't blame any one of them for taking whatever deal they take. I would be taking the exact same deal, if not less.
Agreed.
And so I don't feel like it's right to yell at me because I get paid money versus I'm not delivering on what I said or I'm putting in less than standard effort.
I disagree. You're expected to be good at what you're paid to do. I disagree. And if you're not, you shouldn't be in that position.
Yeah, there's levels of good. I tend to – I hear what you're saying, but I also agree more, I think, with Aaron in this –
it's a bad decision.
This way. Like an influencer right now in social media.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They might have a ton – like they're not necessarily good at what they do.
No, not at all.
They might just have a ton of following.
Not even a ton. You need 5 or 10 to start getting paid.
Or whatever.
5 or 10,000.
I mean, saying somebody that gets paid or that's like a – do they have to perform every day to that level to continue to get? No, they probably just have that now. So, like money doesn't always tell the story of how good you are at something. Like I've learned that a lot in the business world or whatever. Just because you're running something or whatever else doesn't necessarily make you the smartest person or the best person.
Clearly.
You got there, right?
And pay is not commensurate with talent or importance of job. That's also a thing in the world we live in. So I know you want it to be because you said doctors and lawyers and stuff, but there are other really important jobs that don't get paid at all.
But I get the happy medium there, Kasey. I just think, like, at the end of the day, I don't think we ever remind ourselves, like, this still is the 1%. Like, they're doing something that very few people on the planet can do to this level, even when it's poor. Like, when it's bad, there are a lot of people in many, many professions and jobs that can do it to some degree. But, like, I mean, we really couldn't go out there and do that job. And so I guess it goes
What does
back
that have to do with criticism, though?
Well, it goes back to what I was saying. Like, I could see how people, like, if you're sitting there and you're a player and you're getting lambasted by somebody who couldn't do your job.
Yeah.
Like, I could see why, if you're a young player especially, or you're in a bad mood or you're emotional, I can see why these guys do spout back from time to time.
You don't get any hate mail? You get hate tweets all the time.
Yeah, I do.
You don't ever feel like, I know you don't. It's not really your personality type. But you don't ever feel like going back on these guys?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's an everybody thing. I don't think it's like a...
No, but I say there's a it's hard to hold back. It's hard to hold back sometimes.
Yeah, if I had a job that told me I wasn't allowed to reply, like, for instance, when I was running the news station down the hall, that was the rule. Reporters were not allowed to go back at listeners. Anchors were not allowed. You are not allowed to put an opinion out there on politics. We're about being down the middle. And so I could see how if that was I'd have to shut off social media. I'd have to just not use it.
And I think a lot of these people do.
I can't look at that and not do anything about it.
I think most of these guys now don't sit there and scroll through social media. But we were talking yesterday. It's like our kids are on the phone all the time. We're on the phone all the time. Humans are on the phone all the time.
Especially younger ones. Yes.
Especially younger ones. So they're on the phone. Like, they're seeing some of this. And here's how most of them see the negative stuff. Honestly, there can be a lot of stuff said. I try to catch most of the interactions, but there are just times in the day where I miss a lot of interactions. And I'm not getting it to the degree like a professional athlete's getting interactions. But so my guess is they don't see a lot of it, but their family member might. And so how it happens a lot of times is like Luke Fortner's brother is being like, did you see what this guy said? That's how it gets back to him. And again, it's part of the gig. It's part of it. I think they all handle it pretty well, actually, for the most part. But I did think about that sometime yesterday. I was like, man, Luke Fortner, it's almost as if, and fair or not fair, I don't know where we are in terms of right or wrong, but I'm guilty of this. I feel like if they were better at center, they would have been a hell of a lot better this year on offense. And that's probably not reality. And I usually am not like blame one guy. And so I caught myself doing it a little bit. Like, it can't just be him. But I do think he was part of it. So pretty wild. He's going to come back, I would think. I mean, does that motivate you? Does that shake your confidence?
Well, if it doesn't motivate you, just call it on the job.
Well, that's true. But it can shake your confidence. It can motivate you and shake your confidence.
Sure, I get that. But if that doesn't, if you are or are not on social media, you watch the film, it's not good, right? And
yeah, they know what good is. Well,
but
they can't hide.
People just know, like Brent, if you're on TV and you're screwing up, you know it, even if other people don't. Like if something doesn't happen exactly how you want it to, you feel like other people may know. That's every job. You could screw something up. So the first thing is like self-reflection. If you suck, you suck. Like, it doesn't matter if you're an accountant or a lawyer or Brent or Eric. Like, if you or me, you suck. You know it.
There are some people though who don't self-reflect.
But if you're a professional athlete, you don't self-reflect, you might have a problem.
I mean, sometimes it's just about being in the moment, looking forward. Can't look back.
Well, you're forced to reflect.
I guess when you watch tape, yes. But then you just know what you've got to change. Like, I think there are people with the mindset of it's not about dwelling on how bad. It's about
then how can you get better?
Processing how to get better. Those are two different things.
How can you get better if you don't know what you screwed up?
Because you identify what the problem was and you work on fixing it rather than sitting in the problem case. People like me and you, we will dwell in the muck because it's kind of sometimes how we feel. I don't think these guys are like that. Not all of them. Not most of them.
Let's get to questions Shad should ask. And we're talking about Trent in a separate room Doug in a separate room or both in the same room. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's probably going to go hand in hand. We think this is a partnership of some kind, so let's just say that it's not like there's questions about Doug being fired. Doug's not getting fired, so you don't need Trent in his own room. Now, you could ask Doug if you feel like he's the most important figure in your building. The question I've been asking this week, can this guy buying the groceries get us to what you've done before, holding the Lombardi Trophy? Fair question from Schott.
No,
is that one you'd be near the top of your list?
Sure. I would actually ask Doug a similar question, and it's do you trust the guy who's, you said, buying the groceries? Do you trust that guy's ability to pick the right football players or listen to the people helping you pick those players? Like, is there trust there? We talk a lot about trust on the field. Is there trust in the front office?
Kasey, you got any? For Doug only.
For Doug only?
Yeah. If Trent's involved. I mean, are you asking about Trent?
I know.
If you had 3 questions from Schott that you could give to him, be like, please ask these.
I mean, the biggest question that I would have if I was Schott would be for both of them. And that question would be, how absolutely sure are you that the quarterback is unbelievably great? And then the second question would be, what do I need to spend to find out the answer to this question?
What do you learn from the answer of that question?
That's good. Which one? Part 2?
The quarterback question, if he's great or not.
I learned that I'm about to have to spend
$55 a year on a guy that they don't think is great.
And I need to be damn sure that everybody is sure, because I trust you too.
In light of the contract, it makes sense. Outside of that, I'm not really sure what happens.
Well, this is total, and I actually put that on here before Kasey said, that would have been one of mine. Should we pay Trevor Lawrence? And that's what Casey's getting at, right? Should we pay Trevor Lawrence now?
Because but if we need to find out more, what do we need? And I will now spend it.
Let's get to part 2 in a second. But part 1 first is, where are we at? Like, how good is he going to be? How good is he? Is he on track?
Yeah, is he ahead of schedule, behind schedule?
How much of this, because, like, Schacht's not on social media. But if Schacht's on social media or Schacht's listening to all this stuff, he's like, what I would be asking, if I didn't know anything and I'm just listening to stuff, I'd be saying, okay, how much of this is on him? And how much of this was like those videos where I saw people dropping balls, or how much of this was Press Taylor not getting the call in right? Like, did you guys put him in a situation that was good and he screwed it up? Is he not catching on quite fast enough? So you've got to differentiate, but it kind of goes back to what Casey's asking, like, how good is he and should we pay him? And here's the reason why I asked that if I'm Schott. Because I love the kid. I absolutely love the kid. We picked him. We got lucky. We got a quarterback that we thought was a franchise guy. He handled the mess I put him in year 1 with Urban Meyer. He was the biggest man in that building through that mess. As the 22-year-old, I see some greatness in him. He got us to the postseason. He won this epic playoff game. He handles himself so well. He's a great representative of the city, the franchise, me. Again, I'm talking from Schott's view. Mm-hmm. So, like, I'm emotionally attached to the Trevor Lawrence that I know because I want to pay him. I want him here for a dozen years. And so I think there's a little emotion, and Schott's not a super emotional guy, but I believe on the Trevor front, I think there's emotion here. I think he really likes this kid for good reason, and I think he wants to pay him. Going into when they were 8-3, when they're playing good football, right, and they beat Tennessee and Houston, if we had the same conversation, and because we did have some of these conversations in the last year, I would say Schott is going to be as creative as possible to give this guy one of the best deals that you can give a player, because I think he admires what he's done for his organization that much. Now, 6 weeks later, that feels different. I don't know if it feels different to Schott, but it feels different to everybody else. It's hard to have that conversation the way we did maybe 6 weeks ago. So, but I need Trent and I need Doug to take some of the emotion out of it for me, because I got the check ready.
Yes.
So I think your question's a good one, but I think it almost has to be answered and asked like in a bunch of different ways for Schott Khan. I think it is one of the top 3 questions he's got to ask, because we also have to cultivate a very good relationship with this young man. We don't want to burn anything over the next year if he really feels like he should be paid. Of course, his camp's going to want a lot of money, but we got to do this right. We got to do relationships right. We haven't always done that in Jacksonville. We got to make sure we do it here.
I don't think there's actionable information from the question. I don't see it. Let's say the answer is it's not what we thought it was. You're not jettisoning the quarterback.
But you might not pay him.
But you have to build a stadium. You have to convince an entire city that you're on the precipice of something new and exciting. And you're going to do that by what? Telling the franchise quarterback who you told everyone was the guy to go away, and now you're without one? Where are you going? You need at least another season or two to get as bad so you can draft another one.
Well, that's bad business, though.
Of course it's bad business. This is what I'm saying. I think you got to keep him and keep trying to develop it. I think this contract is a foregone conclusion. Now, what's not is whether it's a 45 or 55 or something like that. Get as creative as possible. But the question itself, I think, is a waste of time.
Really?
I think the question that's not a waste of time is if you didn't have to worry about salary cap or contract length or dead cap, tell me the positions we need to upgrade now to make this a Super Bowl contender.
Okay, does that go? I think that's kind of mirrored again. We'll get semantics here in the questions, but you're asking a very good question, and I think it kind of piggybacks a little bit on Kasey's question. Like, what else do we need to help make sure we show when we pay this guy $55 million a year that he looks like a $55 million quarterback? Right, Kasey? That's basically what you're asking.
Yes.
What I'm interested in is what their answer would be, because how egotistical are they about the people they've put around them?
Yeah, if they come back with everything's fine, then they got to go too.
Then I guess that's why I would ask, if I'm shot in this scenario, these questions to them separately, because they're both going to have different answers.
That's fair.
But I need to hear it.
And that's the danger of the NFL, and that's where Schott has to be careful, and he's dealt with this a lot. I've said this all the time. This ultimate accountability league loves to point fingers like they're 7th and 8th graders sometimes, and they don't ever want to take blame. And I'm not telling you they're void of any blame or they won't accept any blame, but they certainly aren't going to throw themselves under the bus. They'll throw Trevor under the bus first.
Yeah.
So that's why you carefully have to ask. Like, didn't Doug kind of do that this week? He didn't put it on the offensive staff. He put it on turnovers. And I don't think he directly put it on Trevor, because there are a lot of people in their hands on turnovers, but he put it on turnovers. But he didn't put it on his offensive play calling.
Yeah.
I didn't hear Doug say hey, we tried to fix 3rd and 1 and we couldn't.
That would be, I guess, my next set of questions individually for these guys. Pick your person here. But if you're asking Doug Pederson, I would say, tell me why this didn't work without saying the words Trent, Baalke. And I would ask Trent to do the same. So you don't have a guy sitting there, well, if Doug would have done this and this, they would have played this guy.
I like that.
Like, no, explain to me what happened here without saying this guy screwed it up.
That's a good, without pointing the finger. I like that question.
You guys take me for some idiot. I got good questions.
History does
You just
inform
can't
us,
take
but
can't take a compliment.
No, he is kind of an idiot.
Wait till you see my third question. Boy, it's riveting.
What do you got?
I don't have one. I feel like my first two.
Who are we hiring? Who we hiring as DC?
What are we thinking for lunch? Like,
I got my other two.
Can we use your Uber Eats account? I'm kind of dry.
Where do we come by? What's your? I'll go with your Trevor question because it kind of is all encompassing.
All right.
I think my question would be really, Doug pointed. Doug, you guys have helped flip. You, Trent, Trevor, everybody's helped flip this organization. Won 2 years in a row for the first time in 20 years. Can we win a Super Bowl? Like in our current state. Now, again, I think I'd steal a little bit of yours. Like, you can't point but what is it going to take? Maybe is the best way.
I think
to
that's
now
a better
win
question.
A Super Bowl.
Can we win a Super Bowl is a bad question.
Yeah.
to me.
What will it take to now win a Super Bowl? And maybe a piggyback on that is like, how far are we away from that?
Yeah.
Right. And then you say kind of the same type of thing. How many moves are we away?
Yeah. Like what specifically do we need to change?
Specific. Are we missing anything?
I would ask Trent about Doug's characteristics. Tell me 2 things you love about working with Doug, and then tell me 2 things you wish you could change about working with Doug, because if you hear some of these things that we keep wondering about during the season, whether it be stubbornness or lack of ability to adapt, and then suddenly it turns out Maybe it's not a coordinator issue. Maybe it's a head coach issue.
Yeah, and I hesitate on that again in the 3-question process only, is because I don't care what you say. I'm not firing him right now.
It doesn't inform you at all?
Well, you're getting information. I get it. But I could ask them that on the practice sideline like in a couple months.
Okay, we're just here asking questions on purpose. I thought this would be a good place.
No,
because if I'm looking at Doug and Trent, I'm looking at them having equal voice in the organization. Maybe they don't, but that's kind of what it feels like.
It's hard to tell. I've asked a lot of people that. I don't think everybody really knows that. I think Trent has a bigger voice than I believe he probably should. I think there should be somebody tweeted this at me, I think the other day, that Shad said at one point, maybe this was when they hired Urban, he wanted to be a coach-centric organization, which I believe a lot of the good organizations are very coach-centric. And if that is the case, and I believe this one should be, I think Doug, the guy with the Lombardi Trophy, should probably have more of a voice.
Okay, but if he said it during Urban and then the experience was what it was, maybe you recoil a little bit.
Well, maybe not that much power, right?
Okay.
I mean, you got to reel that in. Maybe you learned a little bit from that. And Doug, totally different personality in that regard. I'm just saying the voice. If you're listening, this is maybe a better way to say it, guys. If we are in a room with those guys, like if we're Shad and we're in a room with those two guys, I don't know if, to your point, if the voices are equal. If he leans on Trent more because he was with them in the whole process of hiring a coach and the football side of things, and he's making a lot of the roster decisions, or is the voice louder from Doug? I mean, there's 3 ways to go. It's louder from Doug. It's louder from Trent. It's equal. I don't know that. But what I'm saying is if I'm in that room, my ears perk up more to what Doug says. That's me. But I don't know if that's the case with Shot. I really don't. I don't think anybody does. I think we're all guessing. I've asked about it a little bit in a bunch of ways, and I think everybody's guessing. Like, I get a myriad of answers, and I totally think it's guessing.
Oh, we have breaking news. Breaking news. Case to the ESPN 690 newsroom.
I'm sorry to derail this conversation, but this is actually real breaking news.
Is it?
Nick Saban has retired.
Wow.
As the head coach of Alabama.
Nick Saban of Seattle.
So Nick Saban is done.
Or he's coming to Jacksonville to be the defensive coordinator.
Maybe.
I'm going to put that. Nick Saban.
Jaguars named finalists for defensive coordinator Mike Vrabel, Bill Belichick, and Nick Saban.
Isn't that pretty wild?
That's wild.
Wow.
I just had Brian run down here. He said, "You been on your phone?" I'm like, "No, we're actually having a good
I
segment."
think I just saw it. It came out like 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Oh, way to go, guys.
And
how did nobody tag us in that?
Well, Brian did the real life version of tagging. He sprinted.
He really did run down the hall.
And then I had to make sure it was real. I've been sitting on it for a couple minutes. But
how about
that?
It's crazy.
Another guy who's not a spring chicken.
I know, but it's just shocking.
It is shocking.
Do you think when I tweet this out right now,
oh, no.
help me craft a tweet. When I say Nick Saban to be next Jaguars defensive coordinator, ?
That works.
Do I have to put laughing emoji next to this?
No, just put
just
question mark. You're fine.
Okay. There we go.
By the way, Case, I don't know if you saw Brent's poll the other day, but my guy had some votes in it.
Yo, don't ever say that again.
I'm just saying, he put a poll out there for everyone to see. A big poll that got a lot of votes.
Got a lot of votes. It did have a lot of votes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
What's the problem, Case?
Hey, Saban. I love this for Saban.
It's cool.
I just admire when guys get out.
Right?
Bro is 72.
He's 72. Belichick's still trying to go break a record. Saban has nothing left to prove. And by the way, many people believe Saban did his best coaching job yet this year to get them to the Final Four. Now, I don't think they belonged in there, but
you can't let him have it. He's retiring today, right?
You're right. He couldn't give just one.
Come on. He won 7
Guy's
times.
unbelievable.
How much is he worth?
How much is he worth? I don't know. His salary is $11 million, though. 11.7.
Yeah, but I mean, dude's been at it forever.
The last play in Alabama history of Nick Saban was the good old quarterback draw up the middle.
Yeah, well, it doesn't always end well, man.
Clearly. Well, it did. They were in that game they had no business being in against the national champs.
I mean, it's amazing what Saban has done. I mean, one of the great, like we talk about this a lot, from Tiger Woods to Serena Williams to Tom Brady to everybody else. What we don't talk as much about is the great coaches that we've seen. I mean, you got to go, Vince Lombardi's been on quotes forever because he was like the guy, Bear Bryant, the guy. Like people know that. Well, we got to see the tail end, even as if you're a younger person, you still saw the tail end of Bobby Bowden, right?
Lou Holtz?
Lou Holtz maybe.
Tail end, though?
We did. Maybe not like Kasey.
Nah, not Kasey.
Right?
No.
But, I mean, we can go back to like Joe Paterno and guys like that, but that had a ton of wins. Or, I mean, obviously I grew up a Dolphins fan, Shula.
So you're talking like your kids.
But yeah, I'm talking about even like, somebody in their Casey's age or my kids. You're still Saban and Belichick. I mean, you might have seen the two greats. Popovich is another great example. But in football alone, you might have seen the two greatest coaches in the college and NFL level. People will argue it.
Now, when I mentioned Bill Belichick months ago in that conversation, you guys laughed me out of the room.
I don't necessarily believe it. I'm just saying you could argue it.
All right.
So it's been an unbelievable run, and Belichick's like, hey, I'm going to keep going.
Also, not hitting the breaking news one for this one, but Lane Kiffin's in Jacksonville. Do what you want with that information.
Is he recruiting?
I don't know.
Is he speaking at something?
He's not a defensive coordinator.
Bro posted a picture at the airport.
I did think of this, though, guys. Well, like, who's next? Is it Sarkisian to go there?
Oh, they need a coach now. I didn't even think about that part.
To Bama? Like, who's? I feel like I should know who's next in the line. I don't think Kiffin.
Bill O'Brien.
It's not Sark. He's not. I wouldn't leave.
What about Kirby Smart?
Wouldn't leave.
No. Because he's already beaten him, and he owns Georgia.
Here's the thing: like you don't want to be the guy that follows Saban. One, and two, those two spots are better jobs right now than Alabama. Alabama's Saban. Sark at Texas, coming to the SEC. You're not leaving that job.
I get it, but there might really be no better job than Alabama. I mean, I know all the resources you're talking about. They'll build whatever you need to build and pay for whatever you need to pay and do whatever you need to do.
So then what makes the job better?
Well, because it still is Alabama. I mean, it's all built for you.
But you'll never own it. It'll always be Saban's house.
Fair. That's fair. It's fair. It's more fair to me on a Kirby Smart front than probably on a Texas front. I don't even know. I mean, I guess Sarkisian could eventually own Texas, but
I would. If I'm Sark, I'm not even considering. Kirby, I think, is at least more, which is weird to say that Texas is the more locked there. But Kirby did it. He won twice. So what? I mean, I get it. You could win a third time, but what else are you doing at Georgia?
I mean, building your legacy, keeping one of the highest paid coaches in the college sport. You have the best recruiting classes every year. Like, I'm not leaving if I have all that behind me.
I get it, but.
Well, let's go over a short list anyway, and now there's a big-time college job open as much as – and really, what does it say? Does it say, hey, he was done, or does this say a lot about college football, where I think Jim Harbaugh wins a title at his school and is going to be out, I think, unless something's happened, with a 10-year, $125 million deal and talking about owning something in Michigan.
Harbaugh to Alabama.
But Alabama's looking –
why Bill O'Brien?
Because he coached there. Not head coach, but
had a lot of coaches there.
Saban to Bill O'Brien.
You're sitting here talking about Lane Kiffin.
I don't think Lane Kiffin. I don't see it. But
Bro's apparently interviewing with the Jags. He's in Jacksonville. What else?
I think Bill O'Brien might be out of a job, is what I'm saying.
I don't think the Jags defense is going to be good if they're hiring Lane Kiffin.
Bill
Isn't
Belichick.
he an offensive coordinator?
Yeah, he is. You never know.
Well, we'll be back on ESPN.
Bill Belichick to Alabama.
Yeah, Belichick to Alabama. That's good.
With stores in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra, Underwoods is the longest-standing member of the American Gem Society in the state of Florida. The Fibrex window from Renewal by Andersen, named 2023's most energy-efficient window by Energy Star, is stylish, tough, and easy to maintain. Fibrex is also twice as strong as vinyl. Right now, lock in your quote before the 2024 price increase. 20% off replacement windows and 23% off patio doors, plus 0 money down, 0 payments, and 0% interest for 12 months. Minimum purchase of 3 units required for discount. Renewal by Andersen, official partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit rbafla.com. License number CGC 1527613.
We're dealing at Best Bet St. Augustine, the only card room and sports bar in St. Augustine, Florida. With nonstop action, poker games of all limits, exciting tournaments and table games, and a sports bar showing all the action, Best Bet St. Augustine has you covered. Don't miss our delicious dining options, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our always popular freshly made sushi. Best Bet St. Augustine is located at 800 Marketplace Drive off exit 311, where I-95 and State Road 207 meet. Learn more at bestbetjacks.com.
Play a little pool, watch some football, eat wings, and, of course, plenty of adult beverages. Perfect Rack Billiards is the place to be on game day and every day. Now open for lunch at 11:30 on Friday and Saturdays. Daily specials like 75-cent Wing Wednesday, $3 Draft Thursday, and $3 Seltzer Saturday. Pool, darts, shuffleboard in a fun, clean atmosphere at Perfect Rack Billiards. It's your Jags game day headquarters. 10 wings and a pitcher for $20 and a free shot with every Jags touchdown. It's up to the Jags to score. It's up to you to have fun at Perfect Rack Billiards in Jacksonville.
Now, the first alert forecast on ESPN 690.
A chilly night tonight under mostly clear skies. Will drop into the 30s and 40s, so grab a sweater or a jacket. And then partly sunny skies for your Thursday. Clouds will increase and thicken in the afternoon as temperatures top out in the low 60s. From the CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jack's First Alert Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds, proud to offer a huge selection of both lab-grown and natural diamonds at the lowest prices guaranteed.
Have you seen your financial freedom wiped out by stock market volatility? It's Rich Jones. Consider investing in real estate funds from DLP Capital. Don Winter is CEO and founder.
DLP Capital has provided our investors with consistent double-digit returns by investing in cash-flowing residential real estate. For more than a decade, we have had zero losses, little volatility, and have shot above our return targets in all of our investment funds. Plus, we offer monthly distributions and tax shelter opportunities.
To get your investor's guide and learn more, dial **invest on your cell phone or visit highyieldreturns.net.
I'm Mark Anajar. I'm Glenn Levine. I'm Ellie Anajar. Together, we're Anajar and Levine. If you've been hurt in a car crash, we'll fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. Call Anajar and Levine for your free consultation. 1-800-747-FREE. Main office, Jacksonville.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-384-1340. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-384-1340. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-384-1340.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
Jackson Hewitt has a plan to get your tax refund fast. With a buck here, buck there. Here a buck, there a buck, everywhere a buck.
You don't have to wait weeks for your tax refund. Get money sooner with a no-fee refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt.
On this loan, there's a money today guarantee. E-I-E-I-DO.
Don't settle for chicken feed. Get fast bucks at Jackson Hewitt today. No-fee refund advance loans by Republic Bank offered to eligible clients. Money today guarantee if approved for a loan on a prepaid card. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
KFC's wraps are still just 2 for $5. Just think about that. 2 wraps, just $5. You want a new spicy mac and cheese wrap and a new honey barbecue chicken wrap for lunch? Just $5. You want a new mac and cheese wrap and a spicy slaw wrap as a snack? Just $5. You want 2 classic KFC wraps just because? Just $5. KFC wraps are back for a limited time. Now with 3 new options. Choose 2 for just $5. It's finger licking good. Prices and participation may vary. Prices higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and third-party ordering websites. Tax, tip, and fees extra.
It's better to build boys than to mend men. And of course, we've been standing by this for 50 years because these boys have a right to be happy. How are they going to be happy? In a structured, residential, daily activity program. Because as we minister to these boys and as we work with them and they respond, it's a heart-to-heart situation. They will be able to turn around and look back on, just like moms and dads look back now and on their upbringing, they'll be able to look back and look with favor on the boys' ranch that gave them their second chance in life.
When I started in '98, it was a different mentality for first responders.
I've seen a lot of people struggle after retirement, still fighting the same demons that they had on the job.
The ability to reach out to a peer support program is huge.
I've done your job. I know the burden you carry. You've saved other people. Let us save you at this time.
It only takes a couple seconds to dial 3 numbers.
First responders, call 211 or visit stayfitforduty.org.
Hey, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks. Did you know you can watch our radio show? Yeah, video of a radio show. Just search ESPN 690 Jacks on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Or follow me on Twitter at BrentASJax. Watch the show live weekdays from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. or listen on ESPN 690. All right, so big news. Really, I mean, huge coaching news. Yesterday it was Mike Vrabel. Was that Monday or Tuesday? I think it was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Tuesday.
And then today, Pete Carroll. And moments ago, Nick Saban. And by the way, what's nuts about all this is it could get even bigger if Bill Belichick decides to go.
Yeah.
Or
And
they
Tomlin.
decide for him to go.
What a mess.
I mean, just like shockwave kind of seismic moves in the coaching ranks.
What a day.
With Saban and if Belichick goes. But even with Carroll, it's big enough. And Vrabel, who seems to be such a good coach, and I'm getting this thought in my mind, like, and I hate to say it out loud because I do think Vrabel's a good coach, but I'm almost wondering, like, are we putting him on too high of a pedestal at times?
Tennessee would think so.
Yeah, they did. They didn't bring him back for a reason.
I mean, if you think about it, year one, you go to the playoffs. Year two, you're the number 1 seed. Year three, you miss the playoffs. Year 4, 6 and 10.
Yeah, injury's a big part of it, all this stuff. Like, I got plenty of excuses for Vrabel, and I think other people do. And he's never really had the quarterback. Like, Tannehill's played okay, but he never really had the quarterback. So, anyway, back to Saban. I just brought this name. Like, who's going to get that job? Could Mike Norvell?
It's intriguing.
Is he, like, you guys think a big name has to get it?
I do.
Well, just because, in Casey, you made this point in the break, you should make it again about what the kids are doing right now. Everyone on that Alabama team who's committed to it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got to assume that kids that have decided to go to Alabama are going to look to leave because that's just how it works with any coach. But you're talking about the GOAT of college football potentially leaving. So I think to save that and kind of handle that, it would be super strange if they went coordinator on their staff or like up-and-coming guy. To be real with you, it feels like it has to be a name. Like, that's just how I see it. And to answer your question, Brent, I think Mike Norvell's a name now. Go undefeated, Power 5, work the way up, good coach. And I think he fits that category, and I feel like they would be criminal not to at least interview him and see where that lives because he's a good football coach.
Yeah, I don't know from a big name standpoint if Norvell's big enough for people in Alabama, especially. I do think he's very good and on the rise, and it's kind of a sweet spot, right? He's young enough. Still on the rise.
It could be perfect.
It could actually be the perfect, even if it's not Norvell, it could be the perfect, like, check the boxes of who you're going to get. That is in the sweet spot of age and timing of career and everything else.
Why don't you start at the national championship? Is Harbaugh even a thought?
Yes.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
I do.
And here's the reason I don't think so, Casey, is because he has, first of all, 10 years, $1.25 sitting on the table at Michigan. He loves Michigan. That's his place. He just won the national title. Why wouldn't you take that momentum with you instead of replacing somebody else? Back to you guys and your ownership point. Like, he really does own Michigan right now. And I think he's going to the NFL anyway. But I don't think that's even a chance that he would go to Alabama because he says, we're better than you.
They were when they had their seniors. They're losing 40-some-odd guys.
I get it. But
what about Kalen DeBoer? Washington.
Doesn't seem to make
Never
sense
coached in the SEC.
I get it. Now, here's the thing. If you're not going massive name, you got to interview that guy.
Is he a West Coast guy? That seems to be a thing sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Like guys that live on
Fresno State, Washington.
Fresno State, yeah.
Hey, I'll give you a guy.
Is it the guy I'm thinking of from Colorado?
No.
I don't think that guy's coming, though.
No, but I'll give you Dan Lanning.
Dan Lanning from Oregon.
Just popped in my mind. Wasn't he at Alabama?
No.
I thought he was. I thought he was an assistant at one time.
He
at
was.
Alabama.
2015, yes.
And so he comes from the Kirby tree, the Alabama tree, and he's a guy that could come back home, essentially.
That's right. He was at Georgia, too, yeah.
That would be wild. That would be the total flip. That's from defense to none of it. We're throwing and we're having fun.
We said Lane Kiffin, Mike Norvell, Sarkisian, Dabo.
I don't see Dabo. Dabo's from that tree too, right?
He also played college ball at Alabama.
Yeah, that's right. That's
what
I knew it was.
I think it's
that's interesting.
2 national championships.
But isn't he? It's not hot.
No,
like it's kind of simmered.
No, it's actually down.
But
the arrow is down.
But it's simmering.
Well, the arrow is down.
He seems tired of Clemson a little bit, so he would go. I don't know if they're going to go chase him, which sounds crazy.
I think
he actually overtook Alabama.
Yeah,
the name would work though. It's a massive name.
That's a good call.
Any interest in James Franklin?
No.
Penn State?
More so Dion.
No. I think so any chance of Vrabel?
I just feel like if he's going to college, it's Ohio State. I can't imagine him going somewhere else.
You can go to Ohio State, or the only other place I'd go is like a Holy Grail place.
Yeah.
You know, and this is that. Like, it doesn't matter where you're from in this instance. This is Alabama. I mean, it's really that. So I think the problem I have, this is why Harbaugh's out. This is why I think Saban's out. This is why I think Vrabel would stay in the NFL, and almost any guy working in the NFL would stay in the NFL. First of all, the calendar's better for you. It's a better lifestyle. And the garbage you have to deal with right now in college, between not knowing what the future even looks like, and NIL, and transfer portal, is mind-boggling. Like, I got to believe that's why Saban's out. Like, he's dealt with it. He's weathered it. He's been through some of it. But it's like, this is it. That's why Harbaugh's out. It's awful.
297, 71-1 with 7 national titles.
Bro only lost 70 times.
It's insanity.
It's nuts.
Like, that's the thing. You cannot. It has to be a huge, big-time coach. It just has to be.
Or do you just go to acceptance in the grieving chart and go, it's never going to be Saban again?
No, you absolutely don't do that.
Well, you don't do that, but guess what? You better start doing that as a fan.
It's never going to be Saban again.
Because, again, the landscape's changing on top of this great coach is changing. Now, listen, Lanning falls...
I love it.
Lanning falls in the Norvell category, by the way, but with ties.
I love that. I'm into that.
Now, the only thing you could argue Norvell is, you think Lanning's in a better job than Norvell is in right now? Listen, Florida State's
not necessarily.
No,
but,
yes.
But
the committee told you they were.
A little bit, but also Lanning with resources galore, and also a pocket of the country where you can get people up there and you don't have a ton of competition. Down here, you got every competition.
You got competition, but you got a larger player pool.
Cool jerseys, too, for sure.
Yeah, but the player pool
and Nike.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Oregon doesn't – they fish in a big pond because the look, the aesthetics, the NIL, all that. So it's almost like their region of the country doesn't matter. I think that's why they've been able to build it up. So – what a fascinating drop.
Is Lanning
today.
a big enough name?
Yeah.
I think in Tuscaloosa he would be, and he really is that's what I say. Norvell probably he fits in the Norvell category of big names. It's big, but it's not huge. But they're on the rise. Like those guys are in that same category where you've seen them do it, and now you're going to give them this program, and they can probably keep it at least in that stratosphere and maybe even take it higher. So they've kind of figured out the puzzle. And you have confidence in that. Obviously, I think Kirby would be like their first choice.
Sure. I would agree.
But
anybody for Urban Meyer?
Might work. He's won champion. He's won national titles before.
Yeah, I don't see it. Do you think I don't know. I remember where the smoke was on Michigan State hiring Urban.
Mm-hmm.
Like, was there ever smoke there? Was that did he end up saying, I'm not doing it?
I don't think
Do you think they want?
I don't think there was legit. You can't do that.
I don't think they could have after all the stuff that's transpired at Michigan State.
You can't go stuff into stuff.
But I kind of forgot how that ended, because it was hot for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, they've got choices.
I think the replacement is within the names that you've mentioned.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Who was the last one you guys just brought up? What was the last name you just said?
Not James.
That was a good one.
Urban Meyer. Is the last thing I said.
Oh, that wasn't a good one, no. I think Dion. Yeah,
Dion.
Dabo's interesting. Dan Lanning, Kirby Smart, probably number one. Is Dabo 2? Is he ahead of Dan Lanning? And it's weird to say he wouldn't be. It's weird to say he wouldn't be, but he might not be.
I wouldn't, because I would use, and I understand their coaches is different than players. I would use the philosophy of, did Dabo coach his best football? Has Dan Lanning done that yet?
Yeah, that's fair. They're gonna make a call for Sarkisian.
Oh, you got to call.
I bet you.
Yeah.
You have to call, and you have to call Ole Miss, too.
They might call as a...
You don't think Lane Kiffin's a serious candidate?
I just don't see it. Like, here's why I say it, and I might be wrong on this. And because Kiffin's matured a lot. But think about some of the stuff Kiffin does, which is fun, right? Which is cool at Ole Miss to put him on the map. You don't do that stuff at Alabama. That's like royalty.
Or do you?
Yeah, but you don't. That's my point, right? Like, you don't do
agree.
that. And so that's why I don't think he gets the job. Like, it's a weird thing to say, but it's like the CEO kind of mentality of a quarterback in the NFL. the bottom line is, Lane Kiffin's not a bad CEO at Ole Miss. But I don't really want him at Alabama.
But you could do worse than Lane Kiffin.
You could do. I think you just roll the dice. Like anytime you got putting those guys out there, you're rolling the dice a little bit more than you need to. It's always a roll the dice. But I don't see it. I think actually he's way down the list, in my opinion.
Above or below Dion?
I don't think Dion's a real option.
No, I don't think he is.
He's an option.
I think he's too wild card for a school like Alabama.
No. He's an option.
Yeah, see, he fits what I'm saying about Kiffin on a different level, but it is fascinating.
No,
because
bro's
can
an
you
option.
imagine giving Dion what he's already getting at Colorado and Jackson State and give him Alabama?
It'd be crazy.
It would
but I could
be-
also can't imagine like boosters and the athletic department in Alabama being okay with as wild as Dion
I was
is.
Saban, by the way, and Dion, like
They
they
are
have a
boys.
mad respect for each other, at least from the outside looking in.
They got
And do you
those
think
commercials.
Saban's going to have a role in who gets picked?
Oh, sure.
Absolutely he will.
Dion to Bama, calling it.
Ah,
How do I bet on that?
How do you bet on it? Brent bet. Brent bet. Brent.
Bro, what?
Whatever. Have I started that company yet?
He won't pay you. Spoiler
Overtime
alert.
with
That's how he
Pederson,
makes his profit.
Middleton, not tonight, but we'll put a bow on this show when we come back on ESPN 690.
With stores in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra, Underwoods has been serving excellence in Florida since 1928. Brent and Friends is sponsored by Best Bet, now open in St. Augustine.
From selling out of the back of a car to one of the biggest outfitters in the Southeast, Baker Sports is quite the story. And on a daily basis, they are helping you write your story with a high school name or sports team across a uniform and so much more. And now it's a one-stop shop with Baker Sports, carrying Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour. They already make you look good, and now they can help you look better than ever. Baker Sports, custom sports apparel since 1997. Shop with the hometown team, and it's easy to do at bakersport.com.
Hi, this is Earl Ron, president of New South Window. New South is having a one-day factory sale this Saturday only in our factory showroom. 40% off energy-efficient windows and patio doors. One day only this Saturday from 9 till 4. Please visit us at newsouthwindow.com.
Play a little pool, watch some football, eat wings, and, of course, plenty of adult beverages. Perfect Rack Billiards is the place to be on game day and every day. Now open for lunch at 11:30 on Friday and Saturdays. Daily specials like 75-cent Wing Wednesday, $3 Draft Thursday, and $3 Seltzer Saturday. Pool, darts, shuffleboard in a fun, clean atmosphere at Perfect Rack Billiards. It's your Jags game day headquarters. 10 wings and a pitcher for $20 and a free shot with every Jags touchdown. It's up to the Jags to score. It's up to you to have fun at Perfect Rack Billiards in Jacksonville.
Hard Rock Bet presents Legal in Florida.
You can bet the game on Hard Rock Bet. No more betting inside your head. Now Hard Rock Bet is legal in Florida. Now Hard Rock Bet is legal in Florida. Legal in Florida. It's safe, it's legal. We'll repeat that it is legal. Top rated sportsbook and it's the only one that's legal.
Get a no-regret first bet up to $100 when you sign up now. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 and over and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Hey folks, now that the kids and grandkids have gone home and the decorations are coming down, I can see that it's time to get my carpets and sofas cleaned. That's where Zero Res comes in. Zero Res can clean the carpets, the sofa, the chairs, the area rugs, and even the tile and grout. Google Zero Res and see what your neighbors are saying with over 5,000 five-star customer reviews. Right now, get 20% off carpet cleaning and 20% off upholstery cleaning. Zero Res spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
This year, I resolved to have a whole new view in life.
Nice. So what are we talking? New attitude? Maybe new glasses?
Nope. New windows and doors from American Window Products.
New view. I see what you did there.
They're Jacksonville's oldest family-owned replacement window and door company. Great prices, selection, professional installation. They look great too. And you can save $250 off any entry door and free installation on 6 or more windows in January when you call 731-2247 or visit AmericanWindowProducts.com.
Thanks. I'll give them a look.
Jackson Hewitt has a plan to get your tax refund fast with a buck here, buck there. Here a buck, there a buck, everywhere a buck.
You don't have to wait weeks for your tax refund. Get money sooner with a no-fee refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt.
On this loan, there's a money today guarantee. E-I-E-I-DO.
Don't settle for chicken feed. Get fast bucks at Jackson Hewitt today. No-fee refund advance loans by Republic Bank offered to eligible clients. Money today guarantee if approved for a loan on a prepaid card. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
If you've been enjoying a little too much food, too many sweets, and too much liquid cheer over the holidays, then you've probably put a lot of stress on your liver. A great way to show your liver some love and to detox your system is simply adding Active Liver to your daily routine. Active Liver is an easy and effective way to keep your liver healthy and functioning properly all year long. You can find Active Liver at Amazon.com, or for a volume discount, go to NORDICUSA.com or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS.
Every 40 seconds, a child is reported missing. That's 2,000 children every single day. It's a heart-wrenching reality that we can no longer ignore. Find the Children is a non-profit organization dedicated to helping find missing kids. You can be a part of their mission by donating your unwanted vehicle, running or not. Call 1-800-294-0222. We guarantee that you will receive the maximum tax deduction. We provide fast, free pickup with 24-hour response. Call 1-800-294-0222. Find the Children provides crucial resources to help find missing children and educational materials to teach kids how to recognize and avoid predators. Our recovery programs have a proven track record of reuniting kids with their families. It's time to act. Donate your unwanted or unused car. Help us build a world where every child is safe. Pick up the phone and call 1-800-294-0222. Together, we can bring these kids home safely. This advertisement was paid for in partnership with Cars R Us and Find the Children.
Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe. You can watch us on CBS 47 and Fox 30. You can listen right here on ESPN 690. And you can subscribe to our YouTube and podcast, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe. All right. We're probably like the power brokers today. Right? We were Shad Khan.
Everybody's jobs,
We role-played Shad Khan.
We role-played is crazy.
Yeah, you put on the mustache. It was fun.
And we asked the questions. And obviously Pete Carroll and Nick Saban. Just a wild week. The college football and NFL, and obviously NFL primarily, just an amazing juggernaut of news.
Ricky B says Mike Caldwell available for the Alabama job.
Yes, he is.
Hey, that's a wild card.
You know, Albert asked this question, and apologies to Albert, I never got back because this was more of a question I felt like for us than it was coming like, I don't know if he was trying to phrase it from Shad to the guys, like Trent and Doug, but he said, what's the offseason move that didn't get made that you would have made?
I like that question.
And that's a fascinating question because our ears and eyes probably go to Clowney, Calais, Arden Key, Leonard Floyd, right? But I'm really not sure that's the one that made the difference in the football team. I think it's more, we should have, like we said the other day, Osiris Torrance at left guard.
Right.
Instead of Ben Barch or anybody on our roster, if I could make one move. Or maybe it's a center that was available that I just don't know their name.
Can I quickly change the topic because the music is playing?
Not really.
Sure. Just real quick. Dabo Sweeney's contract. 3 clauses in the contract. Should Sweeney leave Clemson on his own? Alabama has one of them.
Yeah. He probably put that contract in when he was winning national championships,
That's fair. I'm just saying. Just saying.
When, who was the guy that called him out on the radio?
Guy grew up in Birmingham. Big name.
Yeah.
I think he's a front runner.
He's got to be in the mix.
Yeah.
Got to be in the mix. All right, we'll be back at it tomorrow, 3 o'clock. By the way, one last show at Sneakers tonight. No, Strings tonight.
Oh.
It is Jaguars All Access, 7 o'clock on Fox 30, Wednesday edition to finish the show at String Sports Brewery in Springfield. Have a good night, everybody.
Let's do it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Duval!
Have a good night, everybody. Happy New Year from Bold City Heating and Air. Start the year with the buyback program. You get up to almost $1,000 for your old AC unit when you purchase a new Carrier unit with Bold City Heating and Air. And new financing in, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. Take advantage. Let Bold City keep your family at the right temperature and help make it a comfortable start to 2024. Bold City Heating and Air, one of the last standing 5-star companies, locally owned and operated, white glove service, certified techs. Bold City Heating and Air. BoldCityAC.com.
We're dealing at Best Bet St. Augustine, the only card room and sports bar in St. Augustine, Florida. With nonstop action, poker games of all limits, exciting tournaments and table games, and a sports bar showing all the action, Best Bet St. Augustine has you covered. Don't miss our delicious dining options, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our always popular freshly made sushi. Best Bet St. Augustine is located at 800 Marketplace Drive off exit 311, where I-95 and State Road 207 meet. Learn more at bestbetjacks.com.
Play a little pool, watch some football, eat wings, and, of course, plenty of adult beverages. Perfect Rack Billiards is the place to be on game day and every day. Now open for lunch at 11:30 on Friday and Saturdays. Daily specials like 75-cent Wing Wednesday, $3 Draft Thursday, and $3 Seltzer Saturday. Pool, darts, shuffleboard in a fun, clean atmosphere at Perfect Rack Billiards. It's your Jags game day headquarters. 10 wings and a pitcher for $20 and a free shot with every Jags touchdown. It's up to the Jags to score. It's up to you to have fun at Perfect Rack Billiards in Jacksonville. Discover how good your water can be with a new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's Twin Tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. This month, you can get 50% off a Connecticut K5 drinking water system with the purchase of a Connecticut Premier Series softener. If you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and provide solutions that are right for you and your family. Imagine having clean, clear, purified water at your home. No more plastic bottles, no more waste, just great tasting, purified water that you can trust. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. Great financing options for the holidays available. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1428211.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
Teach kids how to recognize and avoid predators. Our recovery programs have a proven track record of reuniting kids with their families. It's time to act. Donate your unwanted or unused car. Help us build a world where every child is safe. Pick up the phone and call 1-800-294-0222. Together, we can bring these kids home safely. This advertisement was paid for in partnership with Cars R Us and Find the Children.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Shocking breaking news, Nick Saban is retiring. The 72-year-old Alabama coach informed his team of his decision. He won 6 national championships during his 17 years coaching the Crimson Tide, his other national title at LSU. In the history of college football, no coach has won more. Pete Carroll, who said a couple of days ago he wanted to continue coaching, is out as Seahawks coach after 14 years and the franchise's lone Super Bowl championship. ESPN NFL analyst Andrew Hawkins.
I do think this is the right move. He's been there for a very long time. Yes, he's had success, and yes, they had a winning season, but now is the time for a reset, because when you have a coach who's been there for as long as Pete Carroll has, and he's had his own versions of reset with players, with staff, with quarterbacks, you understand, okay, we've probably milked this for all it's worth.
Carroll will stay with the Seahawks in an advisory role. Seattle's expected to be interested in Cowboys defensive coordinator and former Seahawks DC Dan Quinn.